Du har ju också ägt stor Hollywood. Så Panelists!
Welcome back to another episode of The Longhouse, a show about art, culture, politics, philosophy, etc., all with a true right Nordic perspective. Yes, it's the iconic intro song I see someone is saying in the chat. It's it's been going for quite a while, and I've been thinking about getting it replaced. So we'll see. We'll see if we upgrade our production value a bit soon. Maybe some of the soul will be lost along the way. Apologies for being a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties here, getting everyone set up and ready. Now, Monophthalmos is asking me if this is a free and fair stream. I think that is in relation to the recent American elections.
No, Walrus uses his dictatorial power to choose guests right past everybody else's preferences.
Yes, I am the Tsar of the show, and I choose who will be on. That is correct. Now, of course, I'm going to have to go around the room here and introduce everyone. Luddic Path, as always, trusty co-host.
Yes, back again. Excited for this episode and the grab bags of topics that we're going to go through. So
Next,
yeah,
we
I
have
mean, when you talked about replacing the song, like you said before the stream, I mean, we're approaching almost 1 year of the Longhouse now. Maybe with another month, we'll have reached.
I do seem to recall that we started our first Longhouse on the absolute state of Norway somewhere around the end of January, which is really scaring me
because
I feel like we've barely just begun, and time flies. Is my point.
So it'll be season 2 by 2023, and then we'll get a new intro.
That does sound like a plan. Now, yes, you mentioned we have a bit of a grab bag of topics. The stream is called the Women Appreciation Stream. It's going to be a bit more of a women discussion. Maybe we'll get to appreciate some women by the end. Some rat on Twitter did an excellent thread on who would you do with what I think was a fantastic lineup of women and sort of subtle categories that challenged or at least led to some very interesting perspectives among people out there. But before we get to that, we have a bunch of current events, some fun stuff, some not so fun stuff. And with us on the panel, we have Birkarl as well, who's already voiced his displeasure.
Good evening.
Welcome back. We also have Leo Borealis back with a vengeance after having been stricken by the plague, I hear.
Yeah, the horrible plague, but now I'm back and no one is safe.
And as a bit of a dark horse, a new panelist here today, we have Ophelia. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. I figured if we were going to be rating women, it would be fun if we get that far to have a woman's perspective. Now, I have got into contact with you through a bunch of Twitter spaces you've done. You call it the Scandi Hangouts or something like that, where a lot of, I would say, adjacent people to our thinking, our thoughts, our sphere hang out. And I wanted to ask you a bit about, if you could elaborate a bit about yourself in terms of your political journey, I guess, or how you ended up here. Because if I recall, you have talked before in these spaces that in the sense as a woman, you feel a bit alone in having these thoughts.
Yes. So it's the Scandi space I've had, but I kind of started just to have a place for us to talk with each other, Scandinavians, to meet up. And it's now become a trend. So there are many spaces now, so I don't really have to host them anymore. So my journey here, how I got to this live stream today, it's been a process for sure. I come from a very liberal background. I come from like the upper middle class, from family of academic people, and yeah, so I started out as a liberal, like a lot of us do, more specifically a socialist. Joined like the
Are we talking a hardcore socialist or?
Yeah, kind of. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of very hardcore socialist when I was younger. I was in the youth organization of the Socialist Left Party in Norway.
Ah, I see.
When
Yeah.
I was around like 15 years old. So I always had this idea that we need to take care of our people, nurture our own. We're only as strong as our weakest link. That sort of thinking, that was always very strong with me. But then, okay, just to put things in perspective here, I'm a millennial. So this is like 10 to 15 years ago. This was before the big immigration crisis and everything we're dealing with now. But it had already started. There were immigrants, and it never sat well with me. The whole including other people in our community that our ancestors built. So over time, I just developed into more of a nationalist as well. And then I was fortunate to meet someone about 3 years ago who really red-pilled me. And yeah, it's very much like the Matrix. Once you've taken that red pill, you cannot go back. You cannot go back into that little cozy bubble, ignorant bubble you were in. So yeah, found my way onto Twitter.
Yeah, and from there on, it's. I mean, I hate to put you out, but now you deal in content like this, which I found this a bit funny. I'm not sure how long I can show this on screen. Maybe the YouTube bots will get me.
Oh, you're not allowed to show that sort of content.
Sometimes they get a bit uppity. Yeah. Twitter is a bit more open now after Elon Musk took over, but YouTube is still heavily regulated. Okay, so I think we'll just go into our first article of the evening here, and I'm thinking we're going to start with the economy. Let me just get this up and running and throw it into the Google Translate here for the international viewers. This isn't a very interesting article to just read out, really. But it caught my eye pretty much because it was an interview. It's like a feature interview where they sort of do like a profile on this woman who is a chief economist for, does it say? It's not very important. It's one of these firms that do economic analysis, like market analysis for larger firms like IKEA or like contracting firms, etc., to help them sort of manage risk, basically. And she basically, what she has to say is that the market is slowing, it's stopping, interest rates are going up, and they're going up, and they're going to go even further up probably because we live in a managed economy, and the only dial that the state has to try to basically counteract the effects that they created about 2 years ago is to basically punish the normal people. And it's going to, she's saying that there's going to be a weaker price growth, there's going to be supply chain issues, there's going to be difficulties in selling and buying property. But what's weird is that it's one of those things where or what I foresee that's going to be an issue is that there's going to be a slowdown in the housing market, but there's not going to be a bit of a cool down in price, because especially around the capital in Oslo, the housing prices have been absolutely insane for like the past, I don't know, like 6 at least years.
The problem is with the housing market in Scandinavia and Europe at large. I would also say parts of the US is that since we have had this high price hikes going in and effectively zero interest rate for years, you now have people who are locked into their mortgages, and then they can't really afford they don't really have any how would you say, air in their budget. They are already at their ceiling, so they can't really take a loss, because everything that they sell lower than they bought for, they will have to eat that cost. Essentially, if they sell, then buy something smaller, cheaper, then they will still owe the bank for the first mortgage. So, and then they won't, of course, sell. So you get lock-in effects in the market.
Yes. Everyone is just sort of either investing just more money in or just sitting on everything they got, and it's really starting to hurt, like, young people trying to enter the housing market.
I don't know. I've besides Helsinki and the largest cities, the housing prices, at least over here, have pretty much started to, plummet. And honestly, me right now, I'm not right now, but in the near future, a few years, I'm looking to actually get in on a first piece of own property. And honestly, it's looking real good, because people with electrically heated homes especially are looking to just dump it really hard right now because of energy prices and everything. So those that don't have geothermal, which is quite common, but there's a lot of electric heating, straight electric heating as well. Those people are really looking to just get what they can still have left out over here. Maybe it's different places, but
yeah, at least where I live, it's been a lot more stable than in the capital, but it certainly hasn't gone down any. It's sort of just staying at it's been stable, which is good for the housing market, but it hasn't plummeted any. So it's not a good nor bad necessarily.
I've seen 10% down already this year in my area.
Jesus.
So,
well, the market has to be very different where you live. Yeah.
And people are saying there could be another 30 to go. So
The problem is that the housing markets in all of Europe are violently overvalued. But that's also the effect of, first of all, the ghettoifications of mass migration, because people don't want to live there, so they try to cluster away, and the only way to do that is to essentially price out of the migrants' cash bracket. That means that you're going into, and since everyone is going for that, at the same time that capital is very cheap, you get this meteoric rise in prices.
So I can definitely speak to that from local experience. You'll have in on the map, two areas can be very close to each other, but the one without the foreigners is like 5 times the price, right?
Yeah, it works that way. And then you have that a second effect of that, since those prices then are essentially raising the bar, say the average price of an area.
Yes,
that means
rising tide lifts all boats, right?
And that means that when you do new production, produce new houses in a new area, that means that they average, depending on location, of course, and a little bit of what kind of standard it is, but they are going to trend towards that high median line, of course, because a real estate developer won't develop, out in a swamp in nowhere. He will generally try to find the best land available to get the most cash out of his investment. So that means that new production housing is also quite expensive. So you're running through kind of a two-edged sword. There's not really a mechanism that draws down the.
There's no release valve on this, right?
There's
the only
also
way it can go is up.
And there's no political solution, because the political solution should have been done perhaps 20 years ago, and just put caps in and stuff like that to essentially make sure that capital isn't so readily available, because this is the runaway effect that you get when you get these three kind of toxic things into.
The problem is that I mean, they've started doing that now. The Norwegian state has been, the past 10 years been very adamant in implementing caps on sort of like how much you can loan, how much, and at times, the tax on how much you can own in terms of multiple properties. But what that ends up doing is mostly hurting young people trying to get into the housing market. And meanwhile, the boomers and the people, the contractors and the people who have their business basically renting out like 15 properties, right, are just sitting on it, and further sort of just prolonging the pain that I guess the Zoomers
the other problem now is also that we are in a stagflationary situation. That means essentially that prices on commodities, consumer goods, and all energy, all the things go up, but the wages stay still. So, and this is because you have, it's not just inflation, but it's rather price. What do you call it? Price increases due to both tariffs, which we should really see all of the import bans towards the east. It's just a kind of economic warfare that means that products doesn't come to market. And the other thing is that since everyone is so terrified of this fucking inflation, that means that they are introducing mechanisms at the central bank level and in deals with employers. That means that you don't get the rise in wages just yet. Perhaps next year. Excuse me.
Yeah, and at the same time, the way at least in Norway, the state is looking at this is that the post COVID effects has been a dramatic decrease in unemployment, and they see that as a driver for further inflation, which means that they're ratcheting up interest rates even more to try to cool down, as they say, the economy before it sort of runs amok. Now, I suppose libertarian or sort of Austrian economist would say that, well, I mean, you at some point you're going to have a dip.
You can't do that. You're trying to break yourself out of a free fall in the sense. I mean, the problem is also that since we essentially have been doing quantitative easing, as they call it. It's just printing money, more money, devaluing the fiat currencies in all of our countries. The Americans have been doing it like crazy since 2007. I mean, all these
and especially the past couple of years, the Americans have been
rolled out during 2009, to quote unquote save the global economy. That didn't stop. They just stopped reporting that they printed billions and billions each month. That just kept going. So essentially, the problem was that the entire market was over leveraged in 2008, and instead of letting it die, it should really have been crashed around the mid 90s, really, because that's when it was still possible to crash it out without crashing it fatally. Now you can't do that. Well, sure, you can do another 10-15 years of quantitative easing if they go back.
If you do it now, it's gonna, it's civil war next, right?
It's gonna happen one way or another. I think that is also why they are pushing this, this ESG kind of thing really hard, because they are trying to, save their skins by trying to switch horses during the race in a certain sense. It's not going to work.
ESG, you mean like the green stuff and the governance?
Yeah, that coupled with because that are how they are trying to switch around capital.
I see. Yeah.
And the other thing is to pair it with programmable digital, essentially central bank crypto. And that's a way to control the flow of capital in a way that they otherwise can't. And of course, they will make an absolute pig's breakfast of it. So it's gonna be even if they succeed, they're gonna fail because they're not smart enough to do it.
Yes, exactly. Now, sorry, do you have anything more you want to add to this?
Yeah, don't buy crypto. Buy land if you can.
fair advice. Do anyone else have anything they want to comment on with everything being expensive and shit?
Yeah, I mean, I read the article. I mean, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of these the other stuff that's going on there, because they're doing the sort of woman portrait of this woman. I think she's Albanian, if I'm not wrong, and she came here as a refugee at a very young age.
That's true. Yeah.
I was just surprised at the amount of sort of Twitter speak that's gone into this article. I used to think that Aftenposten was one of these serious magazines that you have to pay the subscription and only like middle class, upper middle class people read this. But I mean, they're making like references to Urban Dictionary and stuff inside of the article, and like it's Urban Dictionary is like banned from my workplace ISP, so I couldn't even go and check if it was real, right? So it's gotten to that level where they're quoting tweets and taking definitions of Urban Dictionary, using terms like mansplaining, gender neutral pronouns. I mean,
it's not something that we're used to seeing here in Norway, is it? It's I mean, you see it every now and then in specific papers, but this is one of the more establishment sort of houses.
It is,
and for them to have this kind of talking style or like writing style is very strange.
I'm just wondering, like, these boomers in Norway, do they know what the fuck mansplaining is? Does that have to be explained to them? And they're reading these articles and they're seeing all this kind of like
they've been
jumbo,
through enough HR training to know what mansplaining is at this point.
All these kind of neologisms. They're just going to pretend that they understand it. But yeah, I didn't want to go into tangents on that. But yeah, I mean, I am kind of in a situation myself that I'm kind of pressured because of these downward pressures on housing, right? Because I bought like properties probably at the top of the bubble, so to speak, and like you said, this was at the time that they were starting to put in a lot of these restrictions on loans for younger people and so on. So I had to do a little bit of, pull some tricks out of the hats to be able to get those loans. And now they're going to start putting downward pressure on. I mean, it's not going to affect everything that I own, but the increased electricity price and property tax plus interest rates that are going up. I mean, it all puts like a tremendous kind of downward pressure.
I mean, I had that
material costs, right?
Just the other day, because I've been sort of in contact with my bank for the last like month and a half, because the interest rates are going up. The power or energy prices are insane. Inflation is hitting like groceries really hard, and there's just there's a limit to how much you can hold back, right? I can try to save on energy, right? I can try to save on groceries, but at some point, the only thing I have left is pretty much my interest rate. and comparing, because of taxes and everything, the amount of hours or the amount of salary I have to get an increase in versus like a 0.1% interest rate decrease is pretty insane. And my guy at the bank called me the other day, because we had a deal that they were raising the interests this month, and he would call me after that, because their systems are kind of like locked into those cycles. You can only put it down after they've raised it. And he calls me and he says, well, everyone here is panicking. I've been allowed to offer you, I think it was a 0.05% decrease on my housing loan. Meanwhile, the reason I called is that I see other banks and other banks that I have access to through unions, etc., are giving like rates that are pretty much like half a percentage below mine. And he can't do anything. And he's like, well, it's going to be shit, and they're probably going to raise it again in January, so I don't know if I can do anything then either. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And he's like, I don't know. Good luck.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, I'm probably just going to swap banks to something that's cheaper, right? But I'm just thinking I can take the hit, right? I'm fortunate enough. This is like first world problems, right? I'm fortunate enough that I'm in a country that is, generally well off. I have a job that, nets me more than enough money. And I'm just thinking there's a lot of people out there who are suffering, and I don't think it's their fault.
No. I mean, this is really hitting some people hard. It hasn't really hit me at all. But well, I might need to buy a little less antiques this month, but that's about it. But But most people, I mean, they don't even have the time or the interest, or some of them not even the capacity to follow. This is just something that hits them out of nowhere. I mean, but we have been tracking this in our sphere now for almost 2 years, so it hasn't really been that much of a surprise for most of us. It's most like, yeah, we can't do anything about it. We see this big fucking boulder just combing over the horizon.
Yeah, the tsunami wave is coming.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt in 18 months. Can we do anything about it? Can harden your economy before it? No, not really. It's just gonna happen.
Yes, but of course, there's always uncertainty when it's happening and what exactly it's going to mean, right? Because you have all of these black pill economists; they're constantly talking about crash. But I mean, what does it mean in practice? Some people imagine Zombieland conditions, right? I even at some point thought that they were going to try to double down on the quantitative easing and go with negative interest rates. That I sort of suspect that it's either going to be negative interest rates or it's going to be some kind of austerity measures. But
Yeah,
they've been
we're quite a bit off that, aren't we?
What?
I mean, that's quite far away. I mean, we're not quite there yet. We're doing
this is probably gonna. I mean, we see the situation in Ukraine that is a driver of this, not the economy side. It's more like the politics of it is driving the economy side of it, and we're seeing that the Americans are starting to slowly pivot away from the thing to a new current thing. So once we get to that full pivot, then sanction is not going to be. Well, give it 3 months, and then they're going to start lifting them and just pretends that it's raining.
Yeah, they're probably gonna pivot away just in time for Germany to be able to buy gas from Russia again or something.
Yeah. I mean, much of the idea with the Ukraine war was also end the sanctions. What was not in the end to fuck around with Russia, because the Americans the State Department knew fully well that it wouldn't do much to the Russian economy. They have had, what is it now, 8 years of hard work to decouple themselves and harden their economy and their trade systems against sanctions. So this was essentially to put a big fucking dent into the European Commission and the Euro project as a competitive reserve currency for the dollar. And mission is well and done accomplished on that. So,
Yeah, even got to do some clandestine operations in the North Sea. I said the North Sea. This was the
Baltic
Strait, Baltic Sea. Sorry, yeah. I think we've spent enough time on the economy. Unless anyone have any final words, we can talk about celebrities instead. We've covered the Princess of Norway multiple times before, Märtha Louise, and her boyfriend, Durek Verrett, the Los Angeles-based shaman. Much have been said by both me and Ludwig about both of these people, I think. So we're not really going to go into that very much. But there's been some development in the sense that she hasn't gone full Harry. She's doing a Harry light by renouncing her official duties, but there's something weird about her keeping the title but not in commercial context. So we'll see how that plays out, because that's sort of the crux of the issue for a lot of people here, is that there's been confusion between where does the royal family end and the black shamanism begin, pretty much. Now, I mean, try to keep the Fed posting to a minimum, but remember that we're not allowed to say everything we want to say on this platform. But how about we just start from the top? Ludwig Path, what do you have anything you want to comment on here?
I was actually surprised that they did anything at all, honestly. I imagine that it would just be some media ruckus. It would die down a little bit. Then people would just accept that, like, okay, this is just a new normal now. Like with the economy, right? It sucks, but you have to get used to it. But no, they actually, I was surprised. I was positively surprised that they went through with having to do something. And I don't know who are the movers and shakers in the royal family to actually get this to happen. But well, I'm actually kind of thankful that it did. The guy's a fucking embarrassment. I mean, I don't know why. Like, you just, if there's like no communication there, if you can't get somebody to behave like slightly better in this situation, I think it would be kind of expected that you can't be this kind of like retarded TikTok influencer at the same time as you take on this role that at least has some reverence within the culture. But no, apparently not. There's to someone like him, this doesn't carry any weight at all. Like, you can just turn this into a total joke and kind of PR for your for his kind of new agey products. So that's kind of my take on this.
Fjolnir for 300 Icelandic kroners says Bray Shaman Durek. That's one for you Warhammer fans out there. That's a good one, Fjolnir. I'll give you that. Birkarl, any thoughts?
Toll countdown.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go ahead to Leo. Any thoughts?
The YouTube terms and service agreement prohibits me
right.
to honestly comment
yeah.
your question.
Okay, fair enough. Ophelia, this is probably, I don't know if this is new to you, but I mean, we've been following the Durek situation for a while.
It's not really new to me, no. Even my super liberal parents have been joking about this guy for years now. He is really an embarrassment, but what I am gonna say that I'm happy about is that this woman is too old to have children. So thank God we dodged that bullet.
That's fair. Yeah, okay. That's a good way of putting it. I think I don't think we have to go any deeper into this. I think it speaks for itself. So I am going to jump on over to our next news item here, which is another person who we've been acquainted with before, actually. For those of you who are OGs, I think I can call it OG Longhouse listeners, you can recall back to, I think it's our LGBT stream. Is that correct, Ludwig? Where we covered this man here.
Yeah, that is correct. I think it's episode 5 actually, where we bring him up.
That's episode 5. That sounds about right. Now, he has been targeted by a certain medical commission because he is a practicing doctor, sexologist, and someone responsible for bringing the 72 genders to Norway. And he has been without, I'm not sure what the technical terms here, but pretty much like without probable cause or license, been handing out medications to people, things like estrogen, etc., to men who usually have been denied that sort of medication due to their gender incongruence, I think is the word, meaning that he's basically, under the table handing estrogen to men who want to be girls, and now he's being targeted for it. The reason he's being targeted for it isn't any based reason. It's pretty much that the state has an apparatus for evaluating men who are experiencing gender identity issues to see if they should be approved for treatment, approved for estrogen, approved for, what was the thing we brought up before the stream? The phallo something?
Phalloplasties?
Phalloplasties, yes. Which sounds as bad as it is. This usually goes against this board's decision to not treat, quote unquote, these men. So Espen feels that he knows better than everyone else, and he should be allowed to do whatever he wants. despite what our laws and our politics say. So, following his example, I am starting a club of young men. We're going to be walking around town and beat people that we feel aren't beat up people that we feel aren't morally congruent with our view of worldview. What do you guys think about that?
Very based.
I mean, just commenting on this, some backstory for people who have never seen this man before. Like the first time I guess I encountered this person was through the documentary that his son made about him. That's called All About My Father. That's actually this kind of, it's really a Norwegian ripoff of what I think is a sort of Italian documentary of the same name. But it's really about like his father coming out as a trans person and so on. The reason this guy is interesting is that he has, like it says here in the article, he's a sexologist, but to get a sexologist credential, all you need is I think it's like a 6-month course. And I think you could take it by mail. But this guy has been elevated to the status of actually practicing doctor within sexology. And he also has like a professorate in sexology. And you have to understand, this is an honorary professorate. These are the people who work in the University of Agder that he lectures at, that have just given him like a professor title as sort of a celebrity. And there's been, so many people inside of the, what you could say, the progressive coalition, inside of the Norwegian state church, the universities, the other parts of the bureaucracy, even this news site that is publishing this article, right? That's one of the biggest, I think, private news company, TV2 in Norway. So this guy is just like a piece of shit that's just been pushed, into these positions where he can prescribe hormones basically to people in his own private clinic. And the reason that he's being targeted, it's like you said, it's not a based reason, but it's a completely kind of technocratic legitimacy issue here, where the actual state, like the actual gender board on the state hospital in Oslo, will take in people to evaluate if they should be on, hormone blockers, get estrogen, like you said, the the surgeries and so on. And they've turned them down. And then they'll go to Espen Ester's private clinic and just have a Zoom call and say that, I think I'm a woman or something. And then you just get prescribed estrogen, right? I mean, you showed me the documentary there where that's all it takes is just a Zoom call. And of course, here you can go to the pharmacy and just get some estrogen, And not only that, but there have been people who have consulted with Espen Ester Pirelli, where he has basically told them that they should not go see the state hospital. They shouldn't go see the official people because they might get turned down. So they should just continue to consult with him and get all these sort of hormone treatments and so on. So I mean, it's just like it's pure lunacy. And I'd wish that there would be angry people with pitchforks. Like, I mean, this man imagines that that's what's happening, right? This is how the article is, how the article is sort of articulated. That he says that they're coming after me, I'm being persecuted, and so on. He's not being persecuted.
Crying out
like I said,
he strikes us. Yes, blah blah blah.
he's persecuted everyone who's tried to oppose this viewpoint, right? But I mean, weirdly enough, this person is like one of the biggest, authorities in Norway on this kind of gender stuff. Just starting out as like
this one individual person, yes, but I mean, I think we would agree after the LGBT stream that the power lies in the organizations, not in this person specifically.
No, exactly. But the thing is that like the kingmakers have sort of chosen this person to be put in a position of power, like this kind of biolenanist structure. But now there's like some internal struggles within that. Within that structure, I just find it to be a particularly interesting case. He is like 73 years old now. He's got the cancer diagnosis, and it seems like they're like before he goes away, they seem to put him in pretty much everything. I've seen like the state church have like sermons where they put this guy in as an honorary priest, and it's
you showed me that stuff. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I mean.
Wow.
But I mean, you said the 72 genders, but this guy is really a little bit more of a renegade than that, because like he has videos on the gender spectrum where he has like 7 genders, right? Because he's just made up his own 7 genders. That it's not 72, it's like the 7 that he has made up, and he has like his own terminology, all of his own neologisms in terms of gender, and
it's weird esoteric academia, but just giving estrogen to children and confused men. right?
Yeah, I mean, you put in an insane person, like this insane, mentally unstable niche celebrity to just be like, I'm just going to be director of gender stuff, in Norway, and now there's been a little bit of an internal power struggle. So, I mean, this guy should have never had a clinic in the first place. He should not be practicing as a medical doctor in anything. So it's absolutely insane that it's gone this far. But I'll be paying close attention to this case to see how it ends up.
Falling outside the normal moral constraints for $2, thank you. Not gonna watch till later, thanks in advance. Well, we appreciate everyone who listens back to our recordings on YouTube. If you did lose our previous episode, it was for a period locked, I think, in the US and other places, because we showed the clip from the Vince McMahon launched bodybuilding competition, which was a bit too much. So if you haven't seen that, or it didn't pop up in any of your feeds, you can treat yourself to an extra episode of the Longhouse after you watch this one. Anyone else here interested in commenting?
I suggest we, in the future, when the resources from people like this get taken away, they instead get put into research to all the things that Leo went through on the Hyperborea stream.
That's true.
Yeah, they should give the money to me.
Our policy is simple. We want to rule Italy. Ophelia, any comments? Do you feel like your gender is being encroached upon by this individual?
I'm a little surprised that they called him her, because I think to remember that he wanted to be called him for a very long time. Maybe he changed his mind on that, but obviously I don't feel like these individuals are representatives of my gender, so I don't know. I don't really have much to say. I'm just going to dismiss the whole thing.
Sure. But you're right. He has been. I mean, I'm saying he was pretty much just as a bit of a slight, really. But he has been on record as being sort of like a fluid person. That one day he's a. That's how it started, with him being sort of like, one day when I wake up, I'm Esther, and the next day I might be Espen, which is his male name. But it seems that in the wake of the past few years with all of this, he might have just gone full her.
No, they're actually using they, them. I mean, this is like a stupid correction, because I just sound like one of the leftists. I'm just going to correct you on pronoun use. Which
is it the translation that's weird?
Yeah, I think it's the translation. Yeah, because they're using hen,
they're using
which is like this kind of
yeah.
Norwegian neologism, right? And I think it doesn't know how to translate that properly, but it is like a they, them type pronoun that's being used.
I like how I think it's Finnish and Hungarian when they have, because there are no gendered pronouns. It's all just han for everybody. And when you put all that into Google Translate and put sentences like han on lääkäri, he is a doctor, it presumes all these prestigious positions are like doctor are males, and everything else is females. And I don't think Google has fixed that on Translate ever. So having gender neutral pronouns since 3000 BC.
Just another case of the computers being racists and sexist.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask Attila on this about this interesting tactic a lot of Zoomer males have thought of when approaching women. Just ask if they are trans. How do you think that goes down with women? Just approaching a random woman and to insult her.
Like, is this like a neg?
I guess it is. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So
I didn't think.
I'm not a Zoomer, so that's never happened to me.
Yeah,
I don't really know, but I think that would definitely be an insult.
Yeah, I mean all these kinds of tactics. It feels like an insult, definitely, and but shouldn't it not be an insult? Because if it feels like an insult, that means you're quite transphobic.
Yeah, you
I mean,
could
I suppose
twist
the
and
real
turn it
Sumer,
like that.
I guess the real Sumer male way is to get disappointed when she says no.
Maybe it's just like a tactic that when she says no, it's like, "Oh, I knew it, you were trans." It's a
Yeah.
defense mechanism. But no, don't ever do that. If you if you want to score someone, don't ever use that as like a pickup line ever.
I'm not sure if it
I
actually
don't think
works.
that scoring is the goal there.
No, I think it's just based Sigma male activity or something. That they're doing.
Schizo rambling.
All right. I think, is that the end of? Well, all right. We can have a bit of fun with this one. It's just something that caught my eye, and it's been mentioned, other places before. But this newspaper had a feature article on what they call Disney adults that many people might have heard about before.
Yeah, I wonder why people hate them. Such a fucking...
And this is a phenomenon of mostly, 30, 40 plus age people, very often childless in the Americas, who find themselves drawn to Disneyland. Now, I mean, it's one thing if you have your kids and you enjoy going with your kids, but this is specifically usually people who don't have children and enjoy being quote unquote Disney adults. Someone like Shelley Grace Gonzalez of age 54. She and her husband Ed, 49, go to Disneyland at least a couple of times a month. And is this a picture of them? Yes, this is Ed and Shelley Gonzalez, proud Disney adults. Another case of the Urban Dictionary, Luddick. This is new. I haven't seen them do this before. I thought they were better than this. Might have to cancel my subscription. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using Urban Dictionary, just don't use anything. Just say you made it up yourself or you heard it on the internet somewhere. You can't use this as a source, right? This it just doesn't work.
It's actually more based to say I made it up. So anyway, it defines it as adults with an intense and extreme love for Disney films, theme parks, characters, and merchandise. Let's see here. This is just some people who are at Disney. I guess this is just people who... No, this is fans. Is this actually like people... There were many queers at D23. What? Wait, hang on a minute. I'm forgetting some part of this article.
What is this?
Adult Disney fans have become favorite target for digital ridicule. Sorry. What is D23? D23. I can't find any reference to this. Ah, here it is. It's the official fan club of Disney. It's because the D for Disney in the year 1923. Oh, okay. So I guess they have a meetup where people dress as Disney characters. So this is like weebs, but for Disney. And they're all like 40 plus people with no children. Yes. Oh, that is so weird. Like people who get engaged and have like Disney marriages. Emery and James Sakamoto share the news that they're expecting a child. Can I get a physiognomy check on aisle 10 here? On these people. All right.
So the examples here seem to be a lot of middle class people, but they're not strictly white Anglos, right? It seems to
I was going to say
yeah.
that they're strictly that this seemed to be a very middle class, lack of bullying phenomenon. It is very strange, and there's something just I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something off about it, right? Are we all in agreement here?
Yeah, it is really weird. But I mean, one of my takes on it is that the people who were watching the actual Disney Renaissance movies, the kind of good ones that we saw in the 90s, they're now like this age, right? I don't imagine like Zoomers doing this shit, because the Disney movies they've been exposed to have just been total crap, right? There's nothing to attach oneself to there. So it's you have a lot of this arrested development in the culture with the internet. I think especially where stuff like this just won't die. In the past you would just watch television, you'd see a Disney or maybe rent a VHS or something, and you'd forget about it later, and that wouldn't be your identity. But because of the internet and like they're able to perpetually create these shows that just go on forever, they organize themselves into these clubs and so on. I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing this stuff. So I mean, they have the same kind of hateable characteristics of the people who refuse to grow up, which is quite common. But if there's anything redeeming, I think most of the people here, their cosplays is quite good, actually, and they're relatively skinny if you go back and look at some of the photos. Because if you've seen some of these anime expos and the people who show up there, like, holy shit, you have like people like 300 and 400 pounds to try to do cosplay, and like these people are they look like they're relatively healthy and in good shape. And like you said, they have disposable income, right? So
yeah, I mean, we talked about this a bit earlier, in our private chats earlier in the week, and I suppose my conclusion from your views here is that if you're like a middle class, childless, double income, 40 plus couple, I mean, it's this or like weird sex stuff, right?
Well, you could become a couple that invents gets Nobel laureates like Kurt.
Yeah, but how many of these guys do you think are going to end up?
Yeah, but I just want to ask the whole panel: Westaboos or Weeaboos?
Yes. Nordhuger says. Oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
Okay.
This is a bit of.
I just want to.
An offshoot, so go ahead.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I hate and despise and loathe the middle class. Worst people ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, we might get into this a bit later when we talk about women and sort of their role, but it certainly highlights the fact that the middle class does feel a bit, in a historical context, feels a bit manufactured out of thin air.
Yeah, it shouldn't exist.
Now, Nordhuger says, he asks actually in Norwegian, but he's asking how Christianity is among Norwegian women today. I assume that's, are there a lot of Christian Norwegian women / are they available? I'm going to say from where I live, which is pretty much the Bible Belt, there are a lot of Christian women and not a lot of good-looking guys. So if you find yourself here and you want a good Christian woman, just become a Christian here and you'll most likely find a beautiful woman.
I think that's actually quite good advice. I mean, Christianity is not fashionable, but I think it is sort of more appealing for women to do more of this active Christian lifestyle, especially in Norway. At least that's my impression. But maybe Ophelia has an opinion on it.
Not really. I'm sorry to say that I'm a heathen, so I can't really answer.
Yeah, I gather from your tweets that you lean a bit more Pinewood Thulian.
Maybe a little bit.
Do you know a lot of Christian women?
I'm not Christian, and I don't know any Christian women. I might know one. I think she was Christian, but she's married and had children like a long time ago. But I'm also from the east in Norway, capital area. So this is not the place to be if you want a Christian woman. You would be more advised to go to the west coast.
It's very well put, but yeah, I agree with the walrus there. I mean, if you want like a decent looking Christian woman, I think there's a surplus here. So yeah, go for it if you have the chance.
Or of course, I mean, if you lean pagan, you're going to have to find yourself a based neo-pagan GF somehow. I think unless we have anything we want to say about the Disney adults, I just thought it was a fun article.
One of the things that I reacted to in this article, I guess, if you go to the header where they're talking about capitalism, I found it a little bit interesting in terms of, I mean, you could say that these people are hateable, but are they like more hateable than furries or anything else? And yeah, there the header says capitalism, racism, and moralization. And they, the author of this article is like kind of trying to resurrect some of like a leftist residue from the 1990s here, talking about how Walt Disney is like, it's a big corporation and it's capitalism, and capitalism is bad, and when you give money to big corporations, that's like really bad and stuff, so you should give it to environmental causes and
hang on,
and Africa and stuff. But
the link here in this sort of paragraph and a half here is that you can link it to like the Karen, which is a white, spoiled, demanded, and often racist American caricature. So it's a phenomenon that these people are usually white or like white passing, as the lefts would say, that sort of forms the criticism here. Is that it?
Yeah, that's part of that's what they ask the question why these people are hateable, right? For us it's really simple that the fact that these are like they're not real adults, they're engaging in this kind of trivial child pastimes. But from the perspective of these like lib shit journalists, why is this something you should hate? If you're a progressive, why should you hate adults doing Disney stuff, right? And I assume that for this subreddit, we hate the worst people on earth, where they talk about how bad Disney adults are. Most of these redditors are not like based people. They are going to be some kind of like lefty, progressive, some or another, right? So they have to have some post hoc rationalization for why they hate them. And I think part of that is really the fact that they have money, right? They have money and they use money. And Disney is like a big corporation or whatever. So that's bad because corporations are bad, I guess.
Suppose, yeah. You can see the thought process, definitely. Fjolnir for 750 Icelandic kroners. Disney, Marvel, and anime. This is our culture now. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences. ...
Well, this is true, actually. I mean, this is like global culture, and it's really set its mark on the middle class. I mean, for maybe the next episode or the episode after that, we're going to do like a Movie Bob special, and we can talk about like the proliferation of Marvel.
I've been watching Movie Bob in preparation for that, and man, that hurts. It's I've never watched a lot of Movie Bob, but Movie Bob is a bit of a time capsule in the way he acts, and
yeah, I think he's like easily one of the most painful progressives to listen to. Without going too much off topic, he's just remained that way. There's a lot of other people that I can listen to that are on the left, on some path of the spectrum, but that guy is just oof. I mean, it hurts, and he's so prolific as well. I mean, he's made so much material that it's. I mean, it's going to be a tough job. I got to put on my worker pants to get something good out of that.
It's gonna hurt. Yeah.
Be sure to cover the eugenics angle very well.
Oh yeah, that was I started researching him and I'd forgotten about that. And it's like sentence number 2 I get to in reading about Movie Bob is the fucking eugenics tweets. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun stream. But enough about future content. Let's talk about present content. And Leo shared a meme with me before the stream with a frog saying, "Gentlemen, it is with great regret and displeasure to inform you that women." So we're going to be talking a bit about women. We're going to be talking a bit about, I think, what we like about women, what we don't like about women, what the current state of women are, what it might be in the future when we quote unquote win, and maybe if we have the time, we'll even get to rate some women or talk about which women we like the most. So I would like to start actually with something that I talked to my wife about a couple of days ago, and it's not necessarily something new. It's just something I observed, or I've been have been stuck in my brain for a couple of days, and that is on the practicality and the. There's no nice way of saying this. Um, the self-centeredness that women can sometimes display. Now, I talk about practicality. I mean that in a positive way, because women are very, very good at sort of filtering away anything that is not interesting to them, um, by saying that they have a very practical approach to um, philosophy, I suppose. I find that it is mostly men who sit around thinking about, how does the world work, while women sort of just align themselves with how the world currently works and sort of just accepts that because they have more important things to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Am I just rambling?
I listened back to the Academic Agent and the BAP stream recently, and I think they made a similar point during that.
I haven't had a chance to.
It's really good, by the way, but they made reference back to the Arthur Schopenhauer essay on women, which I'm not going to get too much into here, but doing a little bit of a callback to previous episodes, I think we did an episode on self-improvement at one point, and during that episode, we went to look at self-improvement books and statistics on who is actually reading self-improvement books from a perspective of men and women, right? What kind of self-improvement are women into and what are men into? And then you could see, how many women are reading stuff like learning like a statistical mathematical approach to your life as self-help, and it's like nothing. It's like 99% men reading that book, and like for women it's like creating a nice atmosphere, feng shui type things, like, or more practical stuff like cooking or how to calm yourself down, do yoga and so on. Do you remember that?
I do remember us talking about that. There's not really much of an overlap. I remember the graphs you showed. So
Yeah,
that there
it's
is
just to
something
support
to
your
it,
point.
and there are when I talk to the women in my life about, not that it happens very often, but when politics comes up or any sort of philosophical topic, they're usually quick to sort of just zero in on the conclusions that I've come to out of just instinct, which is something that I think is often overlooked, that the sort of female intuition, quote unquote, can be very powerful when used in the right context, of course. Now, the downside is that, being a creature more in tune with their feelings than their logic, it can swing the other way sometimes. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, you sent me the this Twitter thread about
let's go into
male
that,
and
actually.
female hormones.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk a bit about women today, because I think that if there's anything we can agree on, it's that women as a group aren't necessarily thriving in the neoliberal hellscape that we live in.
Yes.
Despite that they might have material success, but they seem to be suffering spiritually and mentally. And I just stumbled on a random Twitter thread. I don't remember when, but I wanted to just have a look at it without any of us here, or with all of us here. And I'm just going to start reading, and you just interrupt me if you have any comments, any of you. All right?
Yeah, sure. I also just wanted to make a point where you were talking about like women's interest in analytics or lack of interest thereof, and I do suspect that this has something to do with like the kind of inner hormonal workings of men and women as it is, and this is something that this thread gets into as well. But I think particularly with women and childbearing and going through menstrual cycles, there is a much more consciousness around the body's change and how your body kind of hormonal level changes constantly. And this is something that you're always cognizant of, where with men, they have like very stable hormone levels. And because like your body is so stable in the sense that you could be the perfect candidate for a 9-to-5 job, or you're basically kind of like this working horse person. Your body always works the way you want it to perform certain tasks. You can sort of abstract away your entire body Like you don't have to think about it because it always kind of works in the same way. And when you can take that as a given, that your body will always kind of be at the same hormonal level, your cognition will be similar, then you can start thinking about abstractions, I think, in a much greater detail than women can, who are more constantly interrupted by their kind of cycles, if you will. I don't know if you think there's anything to that, but at least for me, I think it's a plausible explanation for the differences.
Explanation. I mean, I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree that that at least the women that I know tend to often have a, inward out perspective, or a me first perspective on things. I mean, if you want to be mean about it, a lot of people say, they can't think outside themselves. I think that's a bit of a stretch, and I don't want to get too Schopenhauer, but it's something that I do experience from time to time, that if you want to talk to a woman, you have to sort of approach it from a how does that make her feel approach.
I'd like to get Ophelia's takes on this as well.
Yeah, please go ahead. I mean, we've been
Since
bashing
you
women
are-
for
Since you're so fortunate to actually have a woman on here,
Yeah.
Yes, I am going to be completely honest. I think I am stable hormonally, maybe 1 to 2 weeks in the entire month. And that's just the way it is, because we have these different times during the month that we're going through that are going to destabilize us, and we're going to be more emotional or less emotional. There are some days during the month that I'm not on Twitter because I'm just an emotional wreck, and that's just the reality of it. For women, this is very individual. Some women are even worse than this. Some have it less. Some women don't really have any symptoms at all. So it is very individual. When it comes to being more self-absorbed, I don't feel like that's the case, not for me at least. I think it's from the nature's perspective, the biology of women, we are made to care about everyone else. So I think I'm going to twist this around a little bit. Women are biologically wired to care about their men, their children, the elderly, everyone around them, and they themselves are often overlooked. And when we are overlooked, when we care, when we exhaust ourselves, and we feel neglected, that's when this, what you might perceive as selfishness, is going to come forward and be more prevalent.
I can see the argument. I think the way I'm coming at, I'll actually pull up an example here, because the other day, the Benito himself, the thirsty Benito himself, isn't that the moniker, Furious Pertinax on Twitter?
Yeah, that's Marks.
Yeah.
What is his follower account these days? Has he reached 2,000 women follow?
It's huge.
5,000.
5,000 following. Yeah. It's the reason that I have women on my timeline, apart from Ophelia, pretty much. Him and Time Stealer
on the timeline.
Yeah, everyone follow him for the woman posts.
Now, my point was here to sort of just illustrate the way this sort of manifests in political / philosophical discussions, because he posts in reference to this photo here, this woman sitting at a cafe in France saying, "The feminine urge to book a flight to Paris, walk 18 kilometers a day across the city and eat croissants at cute cafes while observing everyone passing by." And he says, "This is how womanhood ought to be. It's simple as." And I commented, why would they ever want anything different or anything more? As a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, but also sort of my point here is, and I hope that seems obvious, that the suffrage part has done a lot of damage to women in their ability to thrive. And the first response I got from a woman to this was, "I don't want to go to Paris." Which
Good argument.
is not Well, yes, but it's not relevant to what I was talking about, and it has nothing to do with you specifically. This is a philosophical general talk, right?
Yeah, but
Am I just
the
bugging here, or
woman
is
just went into the practicalities again. Paris is not.
that's what I'm saying? Right? I'm making a philosophical point that is outside of myself as a human being, right? She responds with, I don't want to go to Paris, because she has internalized the argument I made and looked at it from her personal perspective. So that's what I'm talking about. But I do understand what you're saying, Ophelia, about the caring and the nurturing and that sort of spilling over into into other reactions. And I'm not faulting women for that at all.
But I also want to say though that in these modern times today, there are a lot of very lost women. The liberal women who don't want to have children or feel like being a mother is the worst thing that could possibly happen to them, like really severely negatively brainwashed women. And those, I would say, yeah, definitely very self-absorbed, but I also think they're sick because they're not in tune with their nature.
That's a fair argument, and I assume we'll get back into it with this thread a bit. So I'm just going to start reading. Just interrupt me if you have anything you want to comment on.
Well, I wanted to interrupt you right now on this idea of women caring about the people around them. I mean, this is fundamentally what holds what held a tribe together, but what holds a community together, even to this day, really. I mean, IRL community, not, well, in a sense, I guess Twitter, but, IRL community, the neighborhood.
Also on Twitter.
Well, outside of my point. Anyway, the women really do hold, when I think of my mother, for example, talking to the neighbors every damn day, and she knows everything they're up to for some reason, and at least growing up, and dad is he's like, what? No, I went to work today. I want to mow the lawn or something. Constantly not knowing anything, and mom always knows everything that's going on everywhere, and this seems to be the case with most women, and I myself am completely oblivious as well. And it is something wondrous to see this community building effect that this it's completely necessary, and yeah,
part of it, certainly. Now, Ophelia, did you want to respond to that, or can I yell at chat for a moment?
I just wanted to say thank you for acknowledging that, because that is also what I feel like is our responsibility, to be caretakers in the community and see people and care for them. So that's also what I'm doing in my community to a large extent.
That's good to hear. Now, Lumberg in the chat says, have you been to Paris this millennium? Yes, and I know that Paris is not a place that you want to be. But I mean, if you look at this post, you look at this image here, this is like when you post a Ryan Gosling picture and you write, he's just like me for real. It's not supposed to be, you have to go to Paris. This is sort of like this post is a feeling. It is an urge. It is a sort of, it's a metaphysical expression. It's nothing to do with Paris, other than the sort of the idea of the romanticism of Paris, right? Maybe I'm just reading too much into this. Am I crazy?
She is literally me. That's kind of the point of this meme.
I'm not saying that's the point, but it's the same thing, right? It's expressing something more than you have to go. Like, it's not a go to Paris and eat croissants. That's not what it's saying, right? It's expressing a lifestyle, an urge to do something, right?
Yeah, but I do think like the meme game between men and women are different. I think there's certain things that just men laugh at, right? I mean, you look at the subscribers on my channel, right? It's just 100% men between the ages, I think, of like 18 to 24 and 24 to 34, and that's it. those are the people who think the stuff I post is funny, and everybody else just laughs at other stuff. So,
all right. Any more comments? Can I start reading? Okay. Why women aren't designed for the 9 to 5. We need to stop pretending that hormones don't play a major role in how we think, feel, and act day to day. The average person starts their day at 9 and finishes at 5 days a week. This works well for individuals who are consistent, reliable, and structured. Keep these words in mind as we explore the male 24-hour hormonal cycle. Men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle, i.e. 24-hour testosterone cycle, like the sun. Morning. Testosterone is at its highest. Men feel more focused, energetic, competitive, impulsive, and ready for sex. Think of morning wood. Their attitude is, let's dominate today. There's a chart. It shows that in young and older males, you can see that the testosterone is pretty much at the peak during the morning and, well, I mean, late evening bicks over into early morning here on the right, and then it dips throughout the day. Excuse me. Testosterone supports men to be productive and efficient during the first hours of the day. It's a perfect time to go to the gym, take risks, and get work done. Afternoon, testosterone levels begin to drop, which puts men in the mood to connect and socialize. This is the best time to hold meetings, pitch ideas, and network. And that's something I can attest to definitely. I mean, the social, both from like social stuff, but also from like work and meetings and making connections in that sense. It's always better to do business at the later hours, right? I'm sure you other guys can agree.
I in my kind of like project management role, I recently had to defend why we had our sort of daily meetings at 12, because there was some guy who wanted to do it at 9 o'clock actually, and I should have just used this defense. Right? We have like detailed graph of hormone levels, and we see that men have very elevated testosterone at 9 a.m. So just to avoid conflict as much as possible, we need to optimize for the dip.
Well, I'm not talking
midday,
about
right?
like telling your coworkers what you're coding, right? I'm talking about making more lasting social connections or holding meetings or, as you say, pitching ideas. You know.
But I think it's a little bit of
just
the
remember
same stuff.
from the event. I mean, the exciting conversations doesn't happen, during the breakfast. It happens towards the evening, right?
Yeah, but didn't this testosterone spike in the evening as well?
That's a new spike.
Late
at night.
The graph was a 24-hour one, so the
so
spike
it's like
was
4 in the morning. It
was when you're sleeping, right?
Yeah, testosterone is highest when sleeping. That's why you should get your sleep, kids.
Yeah, 8 hours of sleep is important. In fact, one study by You Can Book Me analyzed data from 2 million responses to 530,000 meeting invitations. They found that mid-afternoon is the best and most popular time to hold meetings. Perhaps this explains why. Evening. Testosterone levels are at their lowest, and men are more sensitive to estrogen. This is why most men want to relax after work, opting for a less mentally and/or physically taxing activity instead. The male 24-hour testosterone cycle is reliable, consistent, and structured. Remember those words. Because of this, the 9 to 5 works well for men. I mean, that is arguable, but you can see how it is more designed for men. Women, on the other hand, can have a hard time thriving in this environment. Why? Because of the 28-day female hormonal cycle. Women have a 28-day hormonal cycle, like the moon. There are 4 phases in the cycle: menstrual, follicular, ovulatory, and luteal. A woman's mood, energy, and physical needs vary depending on where she is in her cycle, and this can change almost every day. Here's another graph where you see the day 0, day 14, day 21, and day 28. You mentioned a couple of weeks there, Ophelia. Does any of this feel familiar? Not to be too personal.
I'm trying to look at this. Yes. Like these graphs are all over the place, though. But,
yes, but you can see a general
that
trend
is...
during the middle to end here.
Yeah, that is kind of how it is. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the menstrual phase. This is getting a bit dry, but I think it's an interesting starting point here. Days 1 to 7, progesterone and estrogen is at its lowest. Energy and motivation levels are low. It's a time for rest and self-care, journaling, warm magnesium baths, meditation, slow movements. Follicular phase, day 8 to 13. Estrogen begins to rise. This is the perfect time to be creative, set goals, and focus as the body starts to reawaken after shedding. Ovulatory phase, 14 to 21. Both estrogen and testosterones peak and drop after ovulation. Energy levels are at their highest due to higher testosterone. This is the best time to start new projects, schedule a date night, socialize, network. Note, even though a woman's testosterone levels peak during ovulation, they don't come close to a man's, even at the lowest point of his 24-hour cycle. Spicy take. Women's body make about 1/10 or 1/20th of the amount of testosterone as men. Luteal phase, day 21 to 28. Progesterone rises and is the dominant hormone. PMS symptoms emerge and may cause a low mood, irritability, fatigue, etc. Best time to nest and rest. Focus on easy administrative tasks as motivation and energy is low. Knowing that a woman's mood, energy levels, and physical needs vary over the course of 28 days, how can she expect to fit perfectly into the rigid, unchanging structure of the 9 to 5? Do we want to comment on that, or should I just move on? I'm just going to move on.
I think it's a sort of well-made point. Do you think about like moving on from the entire thread, or moving on from like this particular?
No. I was just moving on from this particular point. I mean, think about women you know, or if you can think about yourself. If you work 100%, I mean, I can certainly say that the women I know who work 100% do struggle with this.
It is a struggle. And I actually chose to become a freelancer because of this, because I don't fit into this 9 to 5. It is very difficult. You never really know how you feel at certain times. So you have to adapt your work to how you feel and your health, and not the other way around.
Yeah, that's.
And we were able to do that before, back in the days when we were working, when women were working at farms and we were out in the fields watching children. We could always adapt with the physical occupations.
Yeah, but that's also, you can adapt, as she's saying. I mean, a lot of these things that you mentioned in this thread that is suggested activities are not, slacking off. It's just focusing on different tasks, depending on the mood, right? It's not work. It's just, okay, maybe not do the same work as a man 100% of the time, right?
Yeah, we have to. Our work needs to be adapted to where we are at, basically.
Yeah. I'm going to read on. On top of that, testosterone clearly plays a major role in one's energy and motivation levels, and yet women only experience its effects a few days a month. This is a major reason why men and women cannot be expected to work the same, because physiologically we simply aren't. Spicy take, maybe like 7 years ago, 10 years ago. This isn't to say that some women can't do the 9 to 5 grind, or even enjoy it. There is, however, a cry for help from many women who can't thrive or even function in this type of environment. I believe that hormonal cycles gives us insight into why that may be. I hope that men and women, blah, blah, blah. Let's create an environment where both men and women can function and thrive at their best, an environment that is complementary to our individual hormonal cycles. And that's it. And I think that's a very cool explanation for what modern women are going through. I have other tweets here that I want to pull up as just sort of like anthropology for a moment. There's this talk thing with the girls going around, like they're posting their day, and this young girl at a university here is trying to do all the extracurriculars and all the classes and taking Chinese and doing everything, and we're just girl bossing around, having a breakdown during lunch. And
can we get a bit sound, or do you think we'll get in trouble for copyright again?
No, we probably won't, but I can pull up.
Chinese presentation today and a Chinese exam
you have
tomorrow.
Sound?
Yikes. One more class, then back to the dorm for some Zoom office hours. Then it's a Tim moment, where everything hits you at once. Yikes. Supposed to be in 4 places. Work. I used a free skip. Chinese class office hours. You need some help. Club lacrosse. And
yes, we're just going to have a bit of a cry on our way to lacrosse practice, because we've taken on too much work, and I don't blame this woman and trying to make fun of her or anything. I'd rather blame sort of the society that puts her through this, especially in the light of the previous thread, considering that it's not, it's just not fit. It doesn't fit.
I think the critique to this whole thread is, when have women actually? I mean, this regulation. I mean, sure, it sounds optimal, but in the end, it sounds like a luxury that can be indulged if we work with the female hormonal cycle and everything. I mean, thinking of
you're trying
how
to say that in the capital T tradition world that you don't have the luxury of choosing. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying in the peasant woman who wakes up and has to milk the cows every morning. Is she suddenly gonna wake up and think, well, it's that time of month, I'm gonna do self-care today? No, she's gonna go out, right? And she's gonna certainly... go. Her husband needs her out in the field because 4 hands are better than 2.
That's true, but she's certainly more free to choose, how to balance her load than this woman is.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm saying, sure, it's better, but I'm just saying as a critique to the thread that this is an absolute luxury if you can actually.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Actually do this.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bit of a romanticized sort of way of putting it.
Yeah.
but going out and milking the cows, that doesn't really require a lot.
Well,
it's more a mental aspect.
That was just one example. I mean, I literally said, for example, the traditional agricultural work in the north here has been the slash and burn type, which is extremely taxing physical work, which usually demanded to everyone, even children, be out there, toiling all day.
Yeah.
You need more hands. You need every hand on deck for weeks on end.
Yeah, but that also wasn't really a problem. Like, the physical work was never a problem for a woman. It's when we got crammed up in offices, or when we got all these appliances, the washer and dryer and dishwasher and all that stuff that took our manual labor away from us, when we started getting bored and we demanded jobs. And then the jobs we got were office jobs where we had to sit put for X amount of hours and do the same things every day. I guess we didn't know our own best interests back then. We were actually made to be in a farm and do manual labor just like men were. Humans are meant to be out and do manual labor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll say that completely. Yeah, agree.
Now, at least from what I've read of history, there must have been some kind of way to balance out the load on the farm. I mean, you don't put your wife on the plow every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Man takes the heaviest stuff, but that doesn't mean that the woman won't have hard work.
She's going to have a lot.
I think the criticism is valid, Birkarl, that in the previous thread, I mean, it's a bit of a 99% example, but I think it's interesting to think about it in that sense. Like, you use that as a framework for, all right, what we're doing now isn't working because of the hormonal cycles.
Well, right. It's very black and white also. It's not just because of the hormonal cycles, obviously it's not. It's also because humans are no longer doing things that humans should be doing. Like being out in the wild and nature and getting sunlight.
Yeah.
As we usually say, the biggest problem is that modernity is fake and gay. So there's that.
I have a couple more. Yeah, the metaverse. Yeah.
I just wanted to make some comments on this one quick, like on this particular video, because harkening back to the self-improvement stream, like you showed this parody clip that was really in the same format as this, like with this kind of corporate drone guy who's always onto self-improvement. Do you remember that? Like just
yeah.
Oh yeah, went into the office 9:05, straight before the meeting, nailed it. Wake up, read Marcus Aurelius, protein shake, get the tram.
AeroPress, yeah.
Bitcoin's in the red again. I knew it, But it's like the exact same format that has been mocked so many times. I just don't understand why she wants to post something like this, because it's
well, I think she's posting it because a lot of the women who are posting this are sort of making a deal out of it and posting sort of like they're social mediating it up and posting like, I'm living the best life, right? And she's trying to show what she's actually doing. But I think the reality that she's showing is sadder than she intended.
I think there is a certain, type, if you say archetype or stereotype of woman that have like this kind of need to perform. In a sense, they have the need to sort of be seen as perfect, which includes it looks like this kind of woman, like she's sort of very pressured by shame and has to always present the kind of face outward. It is what I mean. You could think of it
by saying that, I'm posting the real me, right?
Yes, I mean you could think of it almost like the sort of alpha females, even though it doesn't kind of apply in the same way with the like sexual market value and so on. The way it does with the men,
but these kind of big brain takedown, like that's the cage in itself, man. She's trapped inside the trap of trying to perform. No, you can't even break out of that.
But of course, I think there's a lot of women like this who do, in a sense, like on the outside, it looks like they're thriving in these systems, but it's really a sort of a painful existence that they're being put through, and a lot of it has to do with the expectation, as you said, like this sort of 9-to-5 job that they're sort of expected to have, and that's kind of presented to them as a high status thing. But you do see it with I don't remember, like they will, these are the statistics that they will trot out in the Norwegian newspaper every year, where they will compare the net gain to the economy, kind of net tax gain from men and women, and like women are always in the red a little bit on that. Like the net gain that women put into the economy, it's always kind of in the negative. So even though they have all this education and all of these like you say, all of these opportunities presented, that it still costs society more money to have them than to not have them, even though they're like, it seems to be more women in these corporate jobs than there are men. And a lot of it has to do with all of these adaptations that have to be done to accommodate, I think, for stuff like these cycles. As you said, when you have to have parental leave, and you have to have sick days, and there's a lot of rights that you have to guarantee women in order to ensure that they can function in a stable way in these corporate jobs, including all of these kind of medical offers, say like birth control, for instance, because that is a way that women solve this problem with these cycles, is that they're just kind of, they're always on birth control, so they kind of stay in one phase of this cycle all the time, or they're taking some type of antidepressants, or like, I think it's a lot more common than most people think when you see these women who are like constantly at work and they're always kind of performing at a stable level, is because they're using some type of medical technology to sort of suppress their natural cycles and so on. But again, I mean, on the other side of that, you could present it in the sense that, like the 9-to-5 day is like an ideal thing for a man, but I don't think it's like 100% ideal for a man either. And I think there are more men than women who feel kind of smashed by these 9-to-5 jobs the way they're currently.
I'd agree. Yeah.
Put together, right? I think men would prefer the more of the kind of entrepreneurship, or the more kind of adventural model, the kind of BAP, piratical band of men, where you don't just do 9-to-5, like you work like 20 hours a day for a certain period to get to the booty or the treasure or something, and then you can relax
really
afterwards.
Something you see, that's really something. I mean, the testosterone levels you see on people who work those kind of shifts and those types of jobs, whether it's fishermen, whether it's let's say, take a Norwegian example, the oil rig workers are always pretty much high T guys, right? and they go out, they work, hard for 2 weeks, and then they come home, right? And they have a couple of weeks off.
I also think like
that's
that's
something all of those, most of those at least, professions.
Yeah, I think for a man, like that's actually the optimal way to do it. Like you have a period of like very high intensity, high demanding work, and then a little bit of off time afterwards. And for women, it's really more about just like, okay, you have the flexibility to you can put in a lot of work at one period, and you could have work with the cycle that way. But like the 9 to 5, I mean, yeah, I guess the way the numbers currently stack up, like men are more of a net benefit within that role, but I still don't think it's completely optimal for them either.
No, that feels like more a happy accident than than an intention, right? But I can notice that myself, in sort of day-to-day labor, that I will have periods of more energy at work and then periods of less energy, and it annoys me because it's you can't really be consistent, right? But that's over longer periods. So I had, well, it was more just, okay, this is just for the meme. I'm sorry. More just documenting some current year females. This is from the Sigma female on Twitter, but this is from another TikTok account, and she's saying, why is it socially acceptable for a man to say he wants a state-mandated goth girlfriend, but when I say I want to be provided with a submissive, chaste, petite, and fertile male wife, which is the funniest word I've ever read, ideally with cat ears, I'm the bad guy. I'm sick of these double standards. That's your state-mandated goth GF, guys. That's what you have to choose.
I mean, her meme game is on point, if nothing else.
I mean, she's just waiting for someone a man that's even more dominant. I mean, what is this?
A radical man.
Take one for the team, Birkarl.
You can fix her, Birkarl. Okay. Actually, I saw a interesting comment here. Highlander Odal said, "Is it human nature to be farmer or to be a hunter?" I think the Christian would say farmer, and the Thulian would say hunter. I guess I would sidestep the question and say that it's man's nature to be spiritual. What do you guys think?
I mean, people like the meme, like the first red pill is the Industrial Revolution was a mistake, and then you go further and say the agricultural revolution was a mistake. I mean, I'd say both. I mean, it's in man's nature to cultivate his surroundings, be it building something, and building something includes a harvest, a field. I don't see why not. I don't see these as mutually exclusive.
I mean, we Nords will need, southern agrarian farmers to raid.
That's true. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Just to be in nature, be in tune with nature, whether that's farming or hunting or utilizing nature resources.
Yeah, I'd agree that trading the sun for the horrible indoor lighting that most offices have is overall a net negative, regardless of whether or not you're farming or hunting. Really. Let's see here. This is a bit of a meme as well. It caught my eye earlier today. It is an article about. I'm sorry to tell you guys this, but since 2020, fewer girls are playing video games than before, and they stop after foul language and harassment. 9 out of 10 boys between the ages of 9 and 18 play computer games. Only 6 out of 10 girls play video games, and it's decreased by 17% since 2020. What do you guys think about that?
Oh no!
I mean,
Anyway,
is isn't most of female gamers just Candy Crush and everything?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the metrics are, but I mean, this has to be some sort of like COVID effect, right?
Yeah, Candy Crush are like the mommy games, right? But I imagine like there are a lot of young girls who will sit maybe and play Fortnite on single player, and then they try to jump into the multiplayer, and they meet like the Groiper army or something, and they just quit instantly. And I guess if if that environment was more accommodating to women, then there would be probably more women playing Fortnite. But I don't see why we would want that in the first place. I don't see how this is sort of
It just caught my eye. I didn't really have any intention behind sharing this. It was just funny. The next one, I like this one from Churrasco Saudade. Not sure who that is, but he caught my eye on Twitter. It's the modern male-female dynamic. There's another image that's like super old meme image about like modern boyfriend-girlfriend, where like the woman's leg is like twice the size of the man's. That's all you see. But I think the idea here is that she's like on the left here, the woman is very much like a girl boss type character, and the man on the right, who is his name escapes me. Bankman,
I have it here. Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yes, the crypto guy. Who? Yes.
What do you think, Norton? On?
You don't have to check Wikipedia. There's no need. What I'm telling you, Neo, is that when you're ready, you'll just know. But it's something about, his physique and her physique and her dress and his dress. It feels a bit reversed, is all I'm saying. What do you guys think?
I think like the problem here just with the posture is that he's like slouched over. I mean, guess she's a little bit slouched as well, but
doesn't help. That's true.
The kind of slouching. I mean, of course, you have the what do you call it, the physiognomy here, but he's not like a directly kind of ugly looking guy. His legs are at least spread apart, right? That works. Like with the male stuff, like her legs are crossed and his are spread, so that's at least one point. The slouching is a little bit bad. She looks taller than him, even though she's put in the back. So maybe that was intentional. I'm not sure. I mean, usually if you have like a couple with like a tall woman and a short man, you'll have the woman sitting down, the man standing in the back, like you say with the in Scarface. That's how they solve that problem, right? With Tony Montana,
like some perspective thing that he's actually way closer to the camera than he appears.
it might be possible, but of course I think you could find like more cringeworthy things than that. I mean, the most cringeworthy thing is really like reading the Wikipedia of this Sam Bankman fellow. I mean, we talked about like clearing.
It's also it's also a physical trait among the early life crowd to be quite short.
Yeah, and this guy is a vegan. What did you send to me? He was the second largest individual donor to Joe Biden in the 2020 election.
Okay. Hold your horses.
Donated $5.2 million.
Yeah, biggest individual donor to Joe Biden. Crypto bro. Like he lives in a mansion and plays. What was it? It was in Fortnite.
League of Legends.
League of Legends.
Yeah. His wife needs to get on League of Legends to even out the score. That's what we need to do here.
Yeah, and just listening to the guy. But this is like when you look at you contrast the kind of like Democrat and Republican coalition in the United States. I mean, at the bottom of the Democrat coalition, you have like the bio-Leninist crowd. That's like the kind of 300-pound diabetic woman who is a vegan and plays League of Legends. Yeah. But on the upper end here, you have like this kind of this kind of tribe guy who's also a vegan and plays League of Legends or Fortnite, but he's a billionaire from crypto, right? Yeah, so it like, even though he's like super duper cringe, like he will get like a first, when we clear them out, he's gonna get like a first place, but he's gonna get like front row seats. Basically, he has to go first. But I mean, it kind of works for him, He is in a sense a success. He's a huge success in what he's done, even though like this
rags to riches Cinderella story, right? So.
But I mean, there's so many of them within the tribe that go exactly this path. They'll get some, Harvard education, and then they'll go do like a tech startup, and they're into all of these new fads, like their super eco consciousness and gender
Anonymous,
fluidity.
is correct. He's not a billionaire anymore. He lost like a ton of money on his FTX crypto the other day.
Yes,
he lost like 94% of his investment or something.
Yeah, the fake money was fake money, I guess. But at least Joe Biden has gotten some money for his campaign, right?
Yeah,
he is the biggest winner of this stuff. Like while he was still rich, he was at least he was able to donate to Joe Biden.
Sorry, we're a bit off topic here. Go ahead, Leo.
No. I'm just joking around. Anyway, topic.
Let's get back because the sort of final quote unquote question that I really had about this. I mean, there's a lot to talk about when we talk about women, but we talked about a lot of how women are doing today. But what do you guys think that the role of women ought to be? I mean, let's assume that tomorrow our enemies would just disappear and we could do pretty much whatever we wanted. What would the role of women in the base society be, really? And I think we're just going to have to go around the room here and just start. Ludwig, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, it's actually a very difficult and tricky topic to approach, considering that people just really disagree about what's actually traditional and what's based. I mean, there's been kind of a tendency, I think, in the DR to sort of purity spiral and go much of this kind of third world route where they want to like create a new Iran or something like that. I mean, hopefully we don't have to do that. For me, it's like the ideal is that we get rid of all of this indoctrination that women have to have 9-to-5 jobs, women have to have careers and so on. Like that's just gone. And there's a sort of healthy kind of biorealist approach, like you showed with the hormone graphs and stuff. Like it's just understood that men and women are different, and women are sort of allowed to pursue their interest. But it is kind of understood that there are different preconditions for what you can do, and there's no kind of like, and that, it's not taboo to talk about that, right? That's just kind of understood, and you can have a kind of relaxed attitude about it, where you don't have to police people because they actually believe the right thing, in a sense. I think that's the closest I have to any kind of ideal situation.
That's good. I think it's very important to be realistic about things, right? Fjolnir says, for 750 Icelandic kroner, women drive human evolution. Without female hypergamy, we would still be apes. The incel phenomenon is natural selection. Thoughts?
Oh, wow. That's like a bold claim. Incel phenomenon is a natural selection. It might be a little bit. I haven't met enough incels to really confirm or deny that. But I do know that a lot of men on the right wing, especially, are very opposed to women being in this political sphere, and say that women have no place in the discussion. And I have been hated on a lot, accused of having evil intentions a lot. I guess that's kind of what you have to deal with when you are a woman who cares about politics, or at least right-wing politics. But I want to twist this around as well and say, do we really want women who don't care about this? Do we want women who don't care about the future of their own children, the future of their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren? I think that we should invite more women to take part in this political sphere, simply because you guys cannot do this alone. You cannot carry your own children. We have to do that. And women have always been present in the political discourse as support characters. All the great leaders had wives who were there to support them. From the Viking era up until now, to Hitler, Caesar, Mussolini. They all had wives who were there, who went out in the public sphere with them, who were there during important dinners. We were always present. So the men who claim that women have no place in right-wing politics, they have not done their reading, because we've always been there throughout the entire history for thousands of years. And we have to still be here, especially now on the right wing, when we are facing so many threats from even our own so-called allies and immigration from different angles. We need to stand together and not try to divide the two genders, because we're not the same. We're never going to be the same, but we fulfill each other and we belong together, and we have always done this together as well.
Do you guys think that in the stage that you could call the dissident right now, that it's I think a lot of people object to women sort of derailing the movement too early. Do you guys have any comments on that? Ludwig, Leo, Birkarl.
Well, yeah, I completely see Ophelia's point of view, but it's my understanding that a lot of guys think that it's sort of like the men are going to sort of spearhead the movement, and women are going to be in a space where it's like they will find attractive men, or men they think are high value, and then they will sort of go along with their project. So you will have women who are more kind of neutral, quote unquote, and if they find the high value man, they go along with that project.
Can I interject a little thing here about that thing?
Shoot.
For the car. Not to rag on my fellow people in the DR, but as you say, a lot of people going like, oh, and they're going to find high-value men. Not going to find a lot of high-value men in the dissident right. That's also a fact. It's a lot of self-deception going on there.
I was trying to put on a poker face and put things nicely. But no.
Jesus Christ, the Spurgs that are around here, who goes like, Wee!
Yeah, no, I'm not delusional on that point at all. I just try to reflect the ideas that I think a lot of people have. I think the other thing that people are worried about are sort of more of the how easy it is, right? Because you have so many of these single men in these spheres, and it's so easy for sort of a woman to come in and fill a niche there, where they will do stuff maybe to draw attention to themselves. It's not productive to the sphere as a whole, and it's a very big problem, because I have no doubt that there are women who are like very well intentioned, who actually care about getting a sort of movement forward, actually taking stuff seriously. But there is another kind of aspect to it, where women usually will find these kind of niches that they will occupy, that they see that there's like so much untapped potential in terms of attention, status they can find, and so on. And I think a lot of people have been burned by that in the and I mean, not just in the dissident right, but if you go back to say like the alt-right in 2016 and further back and so on, there's
took our video games, Ludwig.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yes, that was the start of it. That's where the schism happens, right? So when they give us our video games back, we can become friends again. But
yeah. No, I'm joking, of course, but it's a very difficult thing, because I agree sort of with the fact that women are a part of this, right? But I disagree with the fact that women, or with the statement that women may be, part of forming it. I think there's a very interesting interview that Vingle has on his channel with Lady Diana Mosley, when she talks about, her relationship with her husband and their relationship with the Austrian painter, and how she, as you said, Ophelia, was definitely a part of it. But there was also a degree of separation there. So it's about finding that balance where, men can have their wives as supports, but without the women sort of dominating the spaces, which, it requires men who aren't Spurgs, I think, to be able to resist that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do think that we make good support characters, and there can be. I've seen spheres here on Twitter where like the testosterone is through the roof, and these guys start to encourage each other into things that are not necessarily healthy. So the lack of that like femininity to kind of draw them back into reality is also a problem for some of these environments where they will start competing with each other.
Practicality again, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that women should be like thought leaders or revolutionaries. That's not what I'm saying here. But we need to balance each other out. We need to be there and kind of keep you grounded a little bit so that it doesn't fly completely off the handle. Yeah.
No, that's actually a good point, because a few women in a group tend to act as a little bit of a light handbrake to all the guys, so they don't go off the deep end at once, because if there are women, even if they are not, say, in the thick of it, they are adjacent to the group. The men will always have a weather eye to what they are doing, and if they are realizing that they're starting to get stares because they're starting to spurg out, as men tend to do in tight-knit groups, then they start to be out a bit.
Again, there has to be some sort of there has to be spaces where men can do that as well without it leading to detrimental stuff. I've had many discussions with my wife that are political or philosophical in nature, and I will almost test out thoughts and positions that are extreme, right? And she will react quite harshly to that. Like, just let's take one. I mean, that's quite extreme, and maybe just saying like removing women's right to vote. I mean, in this sphere, it's not very extreme, but I mean, to people in general, that is an extreme stance. But I have to be, and I've told her this, that she has to, or I need to be able to, walk outside the boundaries of our, the walls of our castle here. I have to be able to go outside and see what the situation is like. What happens if I explore this, this idea and this position? It doesn't mean I'm going to end up there, but you need to give me the freedom to do that. And then maybe I can come back with some treasures, right? After having slayed that dragon.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to tacitly talk about here is that the spheres should be overlapping, but only a little. There should be a middle ground where they overlap.
Yeah.
There should be distinct spaces. We shouldn't have access to the furthest workings of the spheres of women, and they shouldn't have ditto to ours. But there should be a space where they overlap for communication and mutual support, of course.
Now, Greg Smith here for $5. Australian? The Australian tax code taxes people as individuals on a progressive scale, even if married. So you pay almost twice as much tax if you have one breadwinner. They tax people as individuals on a progressive scale, even if married. I'm not sure I'm following. Am I misunderstanding this?
So I assume that he thinks, and he can confirm that, if you have a man that is the breadwinner of the house and he's going to focus on his career to provide for two people, right? Then let's say he has like a 6-figure income, then he's going to be taxed at maybe like 45%.
Okay, so it's the same as here.
And let's say like if you have two people, then like a wife and a husband, maybe they're both teachers and they make half that, and then they'll be taxed at maybe 24%, right? So you're being punished for that traditional model.
Yeah,
at least that's what I think Greg meant.
His words. I thought he was saying that he would end up paying tax for two people, but it's just that the progressiveness of it. Yeah, that's the same that the way it works in Norway as well, and it's something that has been a discussion point for my friends, me, and my wife, and pretty much everyone I know, about how that sort of it makes it extremely difficult to survive on just one income. At least you need some. The wife usually of people I know, when they step down, they usually step down to like working maybe 40%, right? Okay, where were we? Well, talking about the overlapping, yes. I think that is a good way of thinking about it. I'm not sure how that can be, arranged. It's so decentralized, all of this, that it's hard to say. But it does require, policing by, I think, both the men and the women. As
Yeah, I think
Huger says in the chat, the Longhouse Council would decide on suitable husbands for all women entering our online space if they prove themselves worthy.
Well, should it be the opposite? Shouldn't the males get provided the females? Is that how it's supposed to work?
I'm not sure. Sorry,
yeah,
Luddick, you were about to say something.
No, I mean, women are good for optics, right? And I think that's something to remember. If you don't have any women in your movement, it's going to be quite noticeable on the optics front. I mean, you can just look at the sort of Groiper army stuff, right? You can only go so far with that. It's just going to be this kind of niche thing if there's like no women involved at any point in this movement. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have women making all the decisions, but there will be like the regulating influence of women in the movement, and a type of moderation in the message, in a sense, without compromising the integrity too much, but to the point where that is something that can be presented on the front end, at least to half the population, and it's not just like targeted at spurgs who live in their parents' basements.
Yeah, I think the only kind of movement that can achieve real change with only males would be a completely violent one. And I don't see that happening, so we need women.
That is kind of what's happening in the media, though. The people on the far right, these skinheads, angry young men going out in the streets with torches and flags, and they seem kind of intimidating. And that they don't make for good optics. They don't make for a solid, a widespread, good movement when we only have a bunch of angry men screaming in the streets.
What I was referring to more was the complete, takeover by force, meaning complete takeover of all institutions by force. And if that is not achievable, then we need females and non-violent means. And that is what I advocate, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, women have been very good at kind of like softening the softening the point on a lot of these populist parties, like say like Mrs. Maloney or Le Pen or somebody like that. It's a lot easier for a normie to kind of digest this more right-wing populist message when it comes through a woman than when it comes through a man. At least that's what I think.
Right. And we have I have a question from Kias in the chat here. Have you tried the marshmallow test on your wife? I'm not sure what that means. What is the marshmallow test?
Is that the one where you can have one marshmallow now, or you can have two marshmallows later?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like a time preference test.
Yeah. No,
I'm not sure how you would do the test like with your wife, unless you're giving her like a test or something. Maybe he could elaborate a little bit more.
I think he's just memeing. To be honest, he's just griping in the chat.
More
for
posting.
What?
Yeah, he's more doing some more thirst posting. A good American friend.
In Romania, the Council of Women was valued, but the decisions of men were final. Also, at Ophelia, what are you doing to find a good Norwegian husband? Do you want to answer that? Should we dignify him with an answer?
Simp.
I don't really know if I have a good answer that I want to. I'm not sure if I want my answer to be like captured on YouTube forever. So I might have to pass on this one. Sorry, but we can take that discussion on Twitter maybe.
That's fine. I have her link to her Twitter down below if you would like to follow her, Norhuger, and you can slide into her DMs there. that is understandable. Let's see. I think, do we want to go into the absolute depths of content here and do the first just do the first round of who would you do from this Muppet on Twitter?
I mean, this is what you signed me up on the stream.
This is what I told you we're gonna do.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I wasn't told any of this other stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I dragged you in here with on false premises and presented you with deep discussion. I'm so sorry.
This is like a timeshare sales pitch, right? You get told that you get to get a free meal or something, but you have to sit and listen to 2 hours of like timeshare marketing first.
Classic.
All right. So what we're just gonna do is that I'm gonna pull up the women, and we're gonna go one by one and do a left or right, and if there are any disagreements, I mean, we'll take that as they come.
I just want to say on these these choices, the choice of picture is very relevant. I've been told that some of these women might have very different looks if the picture choice from the rats right here would be different. So I will be personally just judging from the picture at hand, not of the.
Okay, yeah, let's put down some ground rules. Okay, you have to base it on the picture that you are presented. You can't be like, oh well, 50 years ago I would, right? You have to take the picture as presented.
If it's just a bad picture,
yeah.
Even if it's on time,
take the picture as presented, because there's an author's intent behind the pairing of these pictures, but I would say, well, should you allow personality to be a part of this?
I mean, why not? You might as well. You might as well just use it as an open forum to talk about stuff like with these people.
Sure. Right. You can use personality if you want as your reasoning. So, Luddic path, left or right?
What's the name of the woman on the left again?
I don't know if she has an actual name. It's the woman from the Peter Thiel Conservatender.
Really?
Interesting. Actor.
The one on the right.
She said she wants an alpha male.
Interesting, yeah. No, I mean, so the one on the right is like Michelle Pfeiffer, right? And she's, she's like
Penny
very
conventional.
Mordaunt. She's one of the British PM in the Conservative Party.
I thought it really, but he had some picture of Michelle Pfeiffer maybe later. I think I mixed it up, but yeah, I'm just gonna go left. I like the body type, so I wish I could see more of the woman on the right. To be honest.
Yeah.
AA has posted some bikini pics of Mordaunt as well.
That's true,
right?
But you got it. You can't let that cloud your judgment.
Yeah, I'll go left as well. The thick neck and jaw doesn't do it.
Borealis.
No, I'll go left too. I mean, Penny Mordaunt is a disgusting Blairite politician, so. Yeah,
I would have thought more of you guys would have gone right, but that's I understand. Ophelia.
So this is kind of awkward that I should be rating these women, but
well, I mean that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
We need the female perspective here.
Well, I think the one on the left is more feminine, so I'm gonna pick her.
I think it's a unilateral left then. I can't really bring myself to the Penny Mordaunt vote here. So I think it's a unilateral left for us. Wow. It seems that chat agrees. Next up, there is no neither. Death awaits for those who do not choose. This is it Lizzo?
Yes, it's Lizzo.
American rapper, twerker, and flute virtuoso Lizzo versus this is Priti Patel, if I'm not mistaken. Bloody path, left or right?
So I'm not sure. how many people actually go left on this. It seems a little bit loaded almost. It's like I assume people in
agree.
Britain hate the woman on the right, and that's why you're supposed to balance it, right? So if you hate her so much, then you're going to
You
pick
can't
Lizzo instead.
pass Julius Flavius. That's not an option.
Then I mean, of course, I'm going to go right on this one. I mean, I could come with some controversial ones later, but this one is easy.
Are we all in agreement that right is the way to go here?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I choose
Moving on.
death.
I'm going to need some help with some of these because I recognize the women, but I don't recognize what they're from. Do you guys?
I have
There's
no
a
idea.
Zoomer moment.
Nope.
We
Well,
should-
I think this is Michelle Pfeiffer actually on the left, and
Is it? All right.
I think so. I mean, a lot of them look very similar when they're made up. Let's see. Does the chat know?
It certainly looks like her, but it must be an old photo.
Probably looks like from the 80s or something. If you look at
Yeah.
the photo quality and the lighting.
Okay, but we can still do the rating here. Left or right, Luddic Path.
Yeah, so I'm going right. I think like this picture, her makeup just looks more natural, and the hair as well. Even though like they're
Fair.
both made up, they both put a lot of time into it. It's just the one on the right has done a much better job. Even though I think like in terms of like this rating and dating 1 to 10 scale, they'd probably be like almost at the same at the same level of attractiveness. But she just has a much better job of presentation. So,
Woman on the left is Deborah Harry from Blondie, the band.
I spot a slightly unsymmetrical nose on the left one, so I'll go right as well.
Yeah,
Borealis.
I'll second Birkarl on that one. Slightly unsymmetrical face. And
Ophelia.
slightly northern Mediterranean if you look at the brow ridge and the cheeks.
Oh,
Irish.
I see. Irish subversion.
Ophelia.
I'm gonna say right because she has light eyes.
Yeah, I would agree. I
Nordic.
think the nose is sort of what makes me sort of fall to the right instead of the left here. I don't want to do this one, but I guess we have to. Left or right, Luddic Path.
this is a tough one actually. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be testing for. Even they seem to have like the exact same get up.
I
I'm gonna
think
go
it's
left.
weeding out the types of tomboys here.
I'm
think
going
that's
left
what-
there.
that's
I
what's
think
happening.
the hair on the one of the right is just a little bit too messy. The expression is a little bit too crazy. So
This is from
think-
Prisoner's
yeah.
Cell Block Age, if I remember correctly, but I don't recall the characters or the actors, to be honest. You went right?
I went left.
Left, all right. Birkarl.
I have to say that we have our first disagreement. The one on the right has some of a bit less of a brow ridge, and the hair is fixable. So I'll go right, blonde.
Leo Borealis.
Yeah, I'll go on the right as well. I mean, if you look at it, she has a thinner cheek line, a bit more symmetrical nose, and as the left side here has more of a male face characteristics. If you look at the
I can understand that.
at the forehead
Ophelia?
over the cheeks.
Yeah, I'm also going right.
I think I'm going to have to be solidaric with Luddic Path here and go left. But it's difficult because both of these are like, well, if you just, had a different hairstyle or had a makeover, it would be totally different. Agni and Lacey, left or right? Luddic Path.
This is a tough one as well. It's kind of similar to the previous one. We have like two that are almost similar. So what am I choosing here? No, I'm going to go left again. She annoys me the least, so that's the reason.
There. DC, that's why we're here. Birkarl, left or right?
The one on the left has the critiquing, nagging stare. So I'll go blonde right again.
Yeah, but she has contempt though. She has like one raised eyebrow, like Constanza. She finds you
Birkarl
disgusting.
goes for the dommy mommy of the pair
and
here.
her chin is up. She's looking for a challenge. I don't want to bother with that. Not worth it.
Fair point.
The other one has the chin down. She's submitting.
This is Leo Borealis.
I don't know. I'll just go right.
Any reason?
I mean, it's equally bad, but I think no, I can't. The style of the eyebrow styling on the left just puts me off totally. It's like, what is that? Why?
Ophelia.
Right. I just find her prettier. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with right as well. Okay, left or right?
Yeah, this is interesting because it's like sort of an actual choice here. You have two versions of like the masculine woman, where it's like one is like the female ex bodybuilder, and the other one's like the police. It's a little bit more tomboyish. No, but I like the left here again. It's I guess I like the style. I like the outfit. Like the hair.
He goes for the tomboy abs.
Oh yeah. We're doing the yeah, but she has like the long hair and everything.
Tomboy abs, though. Let's be fair.
Nah.
Birkarl. Left or right?
There is no blonde choice this time, so I'm gonna have to agree with Luddick. Left.
Okay. Leo Borealis.
No, reject female bodybuilding. Let's go right.
Ophelia.
Oh, this is a tricky one. She looks so masculine, the one on the left. I think I'm gonna go right too. Yeah.
I think I need to. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go right. I just can't into the tomboy abs. I'm sorry. Okay, Jennifer Connelly
Despite the
and
abs, not because of them.
yes.
You have to make a choice.
Yes. Okay, Luddick Pat, left or right?
I wish maybe I could have gotten another picture of the one on the left, because I don't know where she's from. But I mean, I always liked the one on the right. I don't know if this is from Requiem for a Dream or something, but I always found the one on the right very attractive. So we go right this time.
Okay. Well, Jennifer Connelly has been it's Requiem for a Dream, but I mean, she has been in a bunch of stuff. I feel like she is a bit of a millennial / younger Gen X favorite. I've never seen it.
You are roboting.
Oh, sorry. Birkarl, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go left. Obvious reasons. I've stated them before.
Leo Borealis. Oh, I think we lost him. Or is it me?
It was only him complaining about the roboting. You
okay,
were
so,
for me, so
okay, so it's on his end. Ophelia, left or right?
I think they're both pretty. I'll do left, the blonde.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to go left. I think is Rampling, is that her name? Yeah, someone in the chat. Charlotte Rampling. I think she's very pretty. Is she a Bond girl? Or am I remembering incorrectly? Whatever. Spoiler, I think Jennifer Connelly won the tournament, the first round of the tournament, and I don't understand it, but you know.
I think I'm back.
Ah, you're back. Okay. You get a chance. Left or right?
Oh, that's very easy. Left. Nicer jawline, better cheeks. Overall,
very good.
Nicer complexion. I've never really liked the kind of slightly flat, droopy horse face of Jennifer Connelly.
I'd agree.
Yeah, it reminds me of the soulless dead eyes of the what's the pop singer who wears droopy clothes with the
it's like
Billy something.
half a block heroin stare.
Yeah, the stare doesn't. I don't like it.
That's interesting. I mean, the stare is what I like. I tend to go for these, even though like they have inferior phrenology. If they look kind of more sexual in their expression and their energy, I tend to prefer that over, the superior jawline or like facial symmetry. Well, then we got another interesting matchup. I'm not sure what exactly. It's a very strange kind of setup here. I mean, of course, well, maybe it's not obvious to everyone, but I go right. I mean, I find like the super nanny a little bit attractive. She's like the sort of thick, thick mommy type character. I don't know why
what's
anybody
hiding
would...
in that blouse.
But I mean, of course, if you are that type of person, if you work in the National Review or something, you could admire Margaret Thatcher. She's a very sort of accomplished person, probably a lot smarter than the one on the right. But political success for women doesn't really translate into sexual attraction. So I don't really understand why anybody would go left. But maybe someone can enlighten me on that.
I don't know, Birkarl.
Well, I already decided to go left, but now I'm left thinking, what is my decision? I guess the vibe in that in the super nanny is something that doesn't really translate to sexual attraction to me. It's too friendly, I'm not sure. I'm having a hard time defending my answer here.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is
but I'm still solid.
Impossible
I'd
choice.
rather go for Thatcher.
Leo Borealis.
Yeah, I kind of. I'm with Birkarl on this one. There's something about the energy of the woman on the right just goes, no, let's go away. There's something very, very wrong there. It's something in the facial expression that just goes.
Now that I think of it, it might be that on the right, she's an actor. She's in the role. It's not a natural smile. Where at least
He's
Thatcher
doing like
Thatcher
doing the DreamWorks smirk.
Yeah, and Thatcher is at least in her element here. She's normal day to day. So.
Yeah, that's probably it. But I don't like it, so I'll go with Thatcher as well here.
Okay, Ophelia.
Some of these are so tricky. Oh man. Yeah, I think I'll have to do that too. Left,
okay. I have a rogue question here. We can take that for everyone from Fjolnir, but it was specifically directed at Ophelia, so you can answer that first. Mads Mikkelsen or Dolph Lundgren?
Oh, I saw the question. I was like thinking, well, they're
or right?
Both good-looking men. Well, old or young?
Well, We'll see. That's the thing about this one. Here, the images here is that these images are carefully selected, right?
Yeah, but both of
I
these
think Mads Mikkelsen and Dolph Lundgren is more or less the same age. I think it's 5 or 6 years between them.
Yeah. If we're doing the younger versions, I'll do Dolph Lundgren. If it's the older versions, I think Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Ludwig Path, do you have any comments? Mads or Dolph?
Yeah, no, Dolph, of course. I want the muscle dumb daddy, of course.
Dolph, the flame that burns the brightest.
Yeah, fair enough. Leo?
There is only one Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, but you're biased. So, okay. I think we can keep going. Bloody Path, left or right?
This is actually a tricky one because I like Kate Bush a lot. But what's the name of the Mary Poppins actor? I actually forget sometimes. But I mean, my instinct was to go with Kate Bush, but it's like I know that she is like
Julia Andrews. Is that it? Something like that.
Let's see. No, I'm gonna go left on this one. Actually, I just know that Kate Bush is like she's like 5'2" or 5'1" or something. She's like almost a dwarf. So I think the Mary Poppins just has like more normal. It's more like normal sized. That's my reasoning.
Birkarl, left or right?
Left. I mean, she's unkept. I know it's on purpose, but no.
Leo Borealis, left or right?
Julie Andrews. So left.
Ophelia?
Right. I think she's prettier.
I think I'm going to go with right, in keeping with the who would you do, not who would you like to be around. So now we get to two, I guess, princesses. Is this woman on the right from like the new Game of Thrones show, or is that something else?
I think she's from the Lord of the Rings thing. I'm not sure. One of the new
Really?
TVs.
Yeah. Okay. Bloody Path, left or right?
Yeah, we go left for Daenerys here. I have like no relation to the woman on the right at all.
Is this like another slam for the left, or does anyone disagree?
Well, we've had some interesting disagreements. I think. I think we should hear people out.
There is definitely on the right there. There's a problem with the facial features are not that defined. And the chin is up front instead of the front palate with the cheekbones. Emilia Clarke has a much better structure in that. And I'll go left, even though it's fake blonde. She's not actually blonde. But yeah.
Yeah, same argument more or less with Birkarl. So yeah, I also go with Emilia.
Left or right?
Obviously, we're gonna go with Khaleesi.
All right.
What?
I think that's I think we all agree that left is the way to go here. Now there was another one from Fjolnir for 750 Icelandic kroner, and then it's that's another for Ophelia, but I mean we can still tackle it as a team. One more, Rurik Gislason or Erling Haaland, the orc from the north.
So I didn't know who this. I assume it's Icelandic. I didn't know who this Icelandic guy was. I had to Google him quickly. I was gonna say Erling just because of Norwegian, but after Googling this guy, Icelandic guy,
it's easy for me. It's got to be the Iceland.
Yeah, he is way prettier.
Do you guys have any comments?
Yeah, I agree with that. I have never seen the Icelandic guy before, but after I saw some pictures, we're gonna go for him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Erling basically has everything going for him, but he just has this kind of like caveman shaped head that is just a little bit off-putting.
Yeah.
So,
but you have a shaved head.
No. I said caveman shaped, not caveman shaved.
Okay.
But I do have a shaved head. but Haaland is not shaved. I think he has like this Sumer ponytail. Both of them do.
I think both of them do. Yeah. Okay, next up.
This is really difficult. There's something about the lighting here that's really strange on the one on the right. She seems to just be suspended in some kind of like strange space here. What a weird.
Probably just an ad.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go right then. I mean, it's kind of like Yeah, she just looks better. I assume that if you'd put them in similar lightings, it would have been easier. I would have given the one on the left a better shot, but it seems like everything just looks better on the right because of the lighting. It's like the breasts seem more visible, like the skin looks softer for some reason. So yeah, I can't. It's hard to get some arguments for the left one here for me.
Birkarl.
On the left, again, I revisit the previous criticism of having the front upper lip, cheekbones a bit caved in as compared to the jaw that's a bit forward. You know, the defined jawline isn't bad, never bad, but the forward jaw with the woman is not as good, and of course the standard blonde.
Ophelia.
So I've seen the movie that the one on the left is from, and she's not that pretty. I have to go with the right one.
I'm leaning right as well. Let's move swiftly along. Would you like the Millennium crush or the Sumer crush? Luddic Path. You
Very
have to
similar
take
in
the
this one as
picture
well.
as is, right? You have to take the picture as is. I've seen some recent pictures of Emma Watson, and they do not apply.
No, I'm going to go right on this one. I'd like her slightly better.
Which one?
Right.
Okay, interesting. Birkarl?
No, I have to go with Watson there. I that's just my instinctive choice. I guess it's, you know, the overly made up eyebrows maybe, and I guess there's this sort of. No, I have to think about this. That's my instinctive answer. Yeah.
Leo Borealis.
Why am I even here?
Right, it gets worse.
Left, I guess. Left. Jeez. I'll go with Watson.
Okay. Ophelia.
She's a bit prettier, so.
Yeah, obviously Emma. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to sort of bend the rules a bit here, or try to weasel my way out of it by saying that I know as much as you can know a celebrity's personality, but I sort of know what I would be getting into with Watson, and I don't know what I would be getting into with what's her face on the right, so I'm going to have to go right. Yeah, Monopathalos. For €2, I could fix Emma. I don't know if you can. She spoke about feminism to the UN. It's going to be a long road, Monopathalmos. And you saying you can fix Emma, and you gave me shit for saying that, you know, Jennifer Connelly isn't my top woman of all time. Okay, buddy. Luddic Path, choose your fighter.
Are these both from the Xena, the Warrior Princess, or maybe the one on the right is from Conan or something? No, I'm going to go with the one on the right. I don't like.
Certainly Xena.
I'm a little bit ambivalent towards Bangs, honestly, so I'm going to go with the one on the right. They seem very similar in all other aspects.
Fair. Okay, Birkarl, choose your fighter.
Left. I don't want to think about it.
Leo Borealis.
Left. I also don't want to think about it.
Ophelia?
I'm also going left.
Where do I lie? I think I'm gonna land left as well. Luddic Path.
Have you seen A Beautiful Mind?
Yeah.
This is why I go home with the woman every time, right?
Yeah. Right.
All right. Yeah,
You have to
it
choose.
starts with me again. So
Yeah.
again, I'm not really sure about the references here. It's tough. No, I'm gonna go right. I like the black leather look on her.
Birkarl?
There's some sort of bewildered expression on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to break my rule of blondes and go for right. There's something wrong there.
Yeah, I concur. Right.
Concur, yeah.
There's something insane going on there on the left.
Nordhuger is having a hard time in the chat.
I know hardly anyone either, so
You don't have to know who they are to make a snap judgment. Ophelia.
Also right. It just looks tidier.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, Senya on the top is going to be a winner here for me. Certainly against other women, she won't do as well. But I'm going to have to go right. Like path.
Yeah. So again, not very familiar. I think the one on the right looks really old in this picture. Even though I mean there's some cleavage showing there, but like just because of the age, I'm going left.
yeah, that brings to mind the Nancy Pelosi pics. old cleavage. Yeah, it's a problem because there's some serious droopy eyes on the left there, and I don't know what's up with the chin. It's sort of flabby, but it just looks too old on the right.
Some of these photos are unfortunate.
So
I think.
I'll go left as well. Huh?
You're going right?
Yeah. I'll go left.
Okay. Ophelia.
I think I'm going right. Her face is a little nicer.
Fair. I think I'll end up going left with what I think is Betty Davis. I'm not sure. I'm not good at the old ones. And now the final one of this round. We'll see if we can if we will continue.
This is the judgment.
This is the hardest one.
No, this is not the hard. This is not the hardest one.
This is probably one of the easiest ones.
I will judge you if you pick wrong.
Bloody path.
Yeah, I had to actually Google what a pog was when I saw this. I mean, you just get up like porn results anyway. But I mean, I'm going with the pog. If there's like contest between like someone who's really really hard, really soft, and of course I want a softer woman, right? I mean, the abs on the one on the left almost look like they're drawn on. There's some kind of like ab implant going on. So yeah, no, right for me.
Luddick made the absolutely correct choice. Soft over whatever that is.
Leo Borealis.
Absolutely going right here.
Ophelia.
Oh, yeah, this is the most difficult one. But like if the one on the left was a guy, hello. But as a woman, no. Yeah, that would have to be right.
It'd have to be right. Yeah, it's going to be a right from me as well. I don't see how it could shake out any different. Let's see here. We'll do a little bit of round two just for fun. The chat seems to have a fun time playing along with us. There is no either. There is no both.
Oh,
Luddick path.
Leo is having a
Left
seizure.
or right.
Who was the one on the right again? Just for
This
is
is
Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard, yes, from
Yeah.
is it Hawaii?
Yes.
She's the senator for.
Yeah, she was. She's Peter Thiel's latest asset.
That's true. Yeah.
No, I'm going right, and it has nothing to do with like politics. I like the way she looks. I know there's a lot of people who like this kind of like Latina look that AOC has, and I don't fault them for it. I just prefer this Hawaiian.
I mean, she has like
look.
the crazy eyes, though. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna. Well, I'm gonna judge anyone on this panel who goes left. Birkarl. What is it with
Right.
like people in the DR and this woman and AOC?
Look, if you're gonna go left, speedrunner, be unashamed. Do not say sorry. You know, just
Leo
stand by it.
Borealis, left or right?
Right.
Hardest choice of your life.
Very.
Ophelia.
Right, because I think she was cool in a video I saw of her. Mhm.
Good enough for me.
Speedrunner, you win the game theory, right?
Yeah, he did.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
he has to pass her all to himself. Stefan NM in chat, you cannot choose none. You have to choose left or right. That is the game. There's no point in playing if you're not going to play the game.
So this is Maloney with melons or something. Is that the joke here?
Yeah, I think that's the
it's
joke.
pretty good. No, yeah, I'm actually gonna go left here. I think Minaj is like light-skinned enough to pass. Like Maloney just looks really tired. She has like the standard look, like from let's say if you have like a right-wing party, there's a certain type of woman who they always pick to be the like these.
That's true.
Speaksperson. So you can see it in their necks. Usually, it's like there's like this kind of loose, tight skin around their necks. Always. I don't like it. So yeah, Minaj.
That's fair. Yeah. Birkarl.
Right. I mean, even though the eyes, you know, there's this sort of, she's been on the campaign trail and clearly hasn't slept. But yeah, exactly what the comment there. I mean, really, come on.
Yeah, I'm actually going to break with this one for a very, very simple reason. Maloney is Sicilian. Sicilians are not white.
Ah, so now it's free game. You've opened
It's the
game
Moorish
now.
blood. It's just Moorish, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you've blown the game wide open. Ophelia, left or right?
No, I disagree with that reasoning. Obviously, I'm gonna pick right. Obviously.
Yeah.
That's the worst reasoning ever.
I mean, I can't bring myself to the left, but I do understand it. But I can't bring myself. Yeah, well, we're celebrating. Why do you think we have the women's stream now? All right. Active person to cell block H. Bloody path.
I actually thought it was Stallone on the right there. These are different. These are different women. You know, just based on that, I'm just gonna go left. All right.
I die.
I do see the resemblance, though. It's pretty good. Yeah. Birkarl.
Left. There's I can clearly see the. I don't know. It brings the one on the right. I don't know. Kind of looks like a resentful commissar, whereas this one on the left looks more like a well.
Reminds you of your fair-skinned Uncle Pekka.
Yeah.
Theo Borealis.
Yeah, left as well.
Ophelia.
Also left.
I'm thinking left, too. Is that a unanimous, then? I think so. We have Scully versus what's the woman on right here?
Police
man.
Academy.
Police Academy, but I have the name on the tip of my tongue. No, I'm sorry, I don't got it. Okay, Luddic Path, left or right?
Yeah, no, I'm going left. I like red I like her, like the lips and the eyes and the hair. So I mean, but it's a tough choice actually.
Wait, someone in chat saying that is actually Stallone. That's not, is it? What is?
No, that's not
Did I
Stallone.
just no? Like someone is on the in the chat says
You've
that.
just been, no, you've just been psyoped.
Fake news on my channel. Okay.
Right. I mean, this is finally a choice where, either works, but
Leo
Well,
Borealis.
Right does have a slightly South Finnish nose. That's true.
See,
But
this is
no.
why I have you guys here. You bring in all like the phrenology for this.
But no, Dana Scully. I've looked on way too much X-Files when I was young, so I'm sorry. I'm primed.
No, it's as I said with Onatop and what's her name? She's Dutch, the actress. It's I've been primed too for Scully. Ophelia.
Right.
Right. Bloody Path.
So is this from American Gladiators or something?
I have no idea.
Just wondering. I mean, it looks like Pamela Anderson on the left there. Not really sure.
It does.
No, I'm gonna go right on this one. I think she looks younger, and it's the neck syndrome again. Look how long the neck on the one on the left there is. It's really long. It looks really like chicken skinny-ish.
I do agree.
I just don't like it. So.
Golner asks X-File live stream when? Maybe one at some point.
I need to rewatch it.
Birkarl?
I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know. I see the wrinkly neck problem that you talk about, but I don't. Left.
Are you going for the all-American classic?
Sure.
Leo Borealis.
Yeah, no, I'm going left too. The right one is way too Semitic. It's the Jeff what's her name, Connolly, all over again.
Ophelia.
Yeah, I agree. She looks not, left.
I think I'm leaning right. It's the neck thing, same as Bloody Path. I can't really get over it. And democracy agrees with me, so
that means you're wrong.
It's not a good thing.
True.
We should know that.
No,
Right?
I know. I was making a joke. Left or right?
I'm gonna go left again. I don't like this kind of American grin that she has on the right. So yeah, only for that reason.
I mean, when you open the picture on the left all the way, I mean, she looks absolutely tiny. I don't know if it's some sort of angle or maybe she's not that small, really, but no, right. Looks like a child.
Theo Borealis.
Yeah, I'm gonna go right as well because the one on the left, as you say, very featureless body type. Also, the well, I don't know. The right one looks, I don't know, nicer perhaps. I don't know.
Birkarl, I googled Olivia Newton-John's height, and she's 168.
Not as short as I
says he'd like to go for left. He seems like trouble, and is thus his type. For pretend all
Yeah,
this. Thank you.
trouble. Exactly. That's the problem.
Well, some guys want a bad girl. Ophelia, left or right?
I'm gonna do left too.
I think this is the picture, but I'm gonna have to go. Like, if there was other pictures, maybe it would be closer. But I'm gonna go left. Left or right?
This one's pretty interesting, actually. Like this is really close. I wish I could like see more pictures or something. It's
Oh, that's the point. These are carefully authored sets of images.
yeah. I'm gonna go left. I like her face a little bit better, and yeah, that's it.
I gotta hand it to you. I think you've been able to be consistently opposite of chat for quite like you have a pretty long streak now.
I mean, I'm first, so are you sure it's not the chat that's like being contrarian to me?
That might be true. Yeah. Birkarl, this one is difficult.
Right.
Leo?
I'm gonna go right also, mostly because the one on the left looks like my last girlfriend, so yeah.
Oof. Ophelia?
Right, because I like her body type better.
This is difficult for me, this one, but I think I'm gonna have to land on the right. But I mean, it could go either way, really. Well, this one's difficult.
So that's the woman from the Peep Show, right? Big Zeus, I think that's on the right there.
I think so. And then there's Nigella Lawson, the cook, I think.
Yeah. No, I like. I'm going to go with the left for two reasons.
2 reasons. 2 Kassar reasons.
Yes.
Birkarl.
Yeah, the mouth is very wide. Yeah, left.
Leo.
Left. Much prettier face also, so, you know.
I like the right one better. The right.
Left. Left or right? Let's swap it up, actually, since you mentioned it. Let's start with Ophelia.
All right. Right. Her face is just more feminine to me.
Leo?
Right. Much prettier.
Birkarl?
Left. I don't like. I mean, the hair is longer. I mean, sure, the jaw is slightly more masculine, but I really don't like the sort of unkempt hair. No.
Let's see. For me, I'm going to go left on this one. I think she looks a little bit softer, a little bit more feminine. Although, again, like I said, I will forego like superior facial aesthetics for like softness.
Wait, I went left even though she's less feminine. You're saying you went left because she's more feminine?
Yeah, I think so. I think the one on the right actually looks a lot more manly. If you look at the face, it's very sharp. She almost like has the contours of the Giga Chad in a sense, maybe slightly smaller chin, but yeah. I liked Rosemary's Baby as well. If I think that's where the woman is from.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm gonna go with right. What the hell is going on the right?
Some sort of Siberian.
Oh, this is difficult because I don't like the one on the left either. Ophelia, left or right?
I'm would say definitely left for me.
Leo Borealis.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the left too. I mean, the right looks a bit like a botched Elon Musk face swap.
Yeah, it
I don't know
does.
what is going on up there.
Birkarl.
Protruding lower jaw, left.
Luddic Path.
No, yeah, I actually like Sansa. I like the actress, so it's very easily left for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's left for me too. Jesus Christ, 87. Luddic Path. Left or right?
Yeah, number 1, number 2. It's like this
Yeah.
eye doctor test here.
Show me number 1 again. Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm gonna go left. I think she's just presented better in the photo. I like this training top or whatever. It's very 80s looking. Yeah.
Fair. Birkarl, left or right?
I'll also go with left, even though the right has a better body.
Leo Borealis.
I am going to go for the right. I think she has a much prettier face, more distinct, and also much prettier nose.
Fair. Ophelia.
This one is difficult. Okay, well, left. It's close.
I'm going to go right. Let's do one last.
So it's me first. This is like Tom Cruise's ex-wife, and then there's Nicole Kidman, I think.
I think so.
Also, Tom Cruise's ex-wife.
Oh, yeah, of course. So that's the theme here, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're both Tom Cruise's ex-wives. Yeah.
This is Katie Holmes. That's her name, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go right with Katie. I think the left one is a little bit too hard in her expression. So I like. I think she's right is like slightly more feminine.
Fair. Birkarl.
I'm going to go left. I think one on the right looks a bit older. Yeah.
Theo.
Sorry, I was muted. Left.
Okay. Ophelia.
Also left.
This one's difficult for me. I'm going to have to go left. Okay. That concludes. Let's see if there's... No, it's just more... Yeah, it's going to be difficult going further. We don't have more time. It's almost been 3 hours.
Thank gods.
Yes. That's enough low-effort content for tonight. Thank you all for coming out and hanging out here with us tonight. Before we go, does anyone have anything they would like to share in terms of their channels or socials? Luddic Path, do you have anything you would like to plug?
No, I mean my channel keeps ticking. The memes are going to keep ticking in for No Nut November and such as usual. And we're doing. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do like a Movie Bob special with Jay Buren next week if things work out.
I really hope so. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. After having sort of rewatched old Movie Bob stuff, I was like, Movie Bob, really? Is he still around? And then I watched it and I was like, well, I mean, it's not going to be boring, right? Birkarl, I know you've been doing some stuff lately.
Yeah, I decided because it's winter and I'm no longer spending as much time outside. Of course, going out and getting some fresh air is always on the menu, but just sitting outside is no longer a thing. So instead, I will spend 2 hours every Sunday playing some Civilization 5 and talking about whatever comes to my mind. Mostly gameplay and my thinking, and if anybody wants to ask anything for any reason, they can show up and I'll give you something of an answer. I won't promise anything.
Yep.
That'll be on Odyssey.
If you can send me the link, I'll put it in the chat and I'll put it in the description for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, sure.
Leo Borealis, anything you'd like to shill?
No, not really. Well, we are going to try to get the Scandinavian History Stream Part 2 into the schedule again soon.
Yeah.
That's more or less all we can say about that. But other than that, no, not really.
Yeah, so look out for that in the hopefully near future. Ophelia, do you have any socials you would like to share?
I'm looking at the comments here, and someone is asking, when will Ophelia be on Women's Hour? What does that mean?
Oh, Women's Hour is a separate show that he's referring to, I think. I don't think that's overlapping with the output that you do on Twitter. But it might be something you would end up on if you enjoy doing live streams. It's a women only panel.
Oh,
So,
okay. I don't know. I haven't heard of it. I would have to look into it then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, Voltra says someone named Poe the Person does a woman's show once a week.
Oh, okay. All right. If I stumble across it, I'll check it out. I don't really know what it is, but yeah, I'm on Twitter. I do some spaces and stuff there every now and then, both in Scandinavian and also international spaces. So yeah, follow me on Twitter.
I added the link to your Twitter in the description down below, so anyone who's interested in following you on Twitter can do that.
Yeah, and also just want to say thank you for the live stream. It was a lot of fun and cool to be here.
You're welcome. Hopefully, all of those who watched, got something out of this, and we'll see you all next week. But before that, we have in the description down below the link to our Element channel, which is pretty much Discord but secure. If you'd like to talk to like-minded people, we have a link to my Twitter if you'd like to follow me specifically on Twitter. We have a link to our Subscribestar if you would like to fund this show with a monthly subscription. All of the money that we get through there pretty much pays for our StreamYard subscription, so that means we can stream to you guys in 1080p, which is nice. There's also my Telegram channel if you'd like to follow me there instead of Twitter. And I think that's everything. Well, no, there's also the Longhouse Clips channel. If you don't have the time or the energy to sit through long podcasts of up to 3 hours, Bloody Path usually chops our episodes up into smaller parts and puts them on there. Okay, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good rest of your evening.